Okay. All right, guys, if you just want to take a quick seat for us. Okay, guys, if you just want to take a seat, we'll get this on the way.
Do you have the clicker? Thanks, guys. I think I'm on.
Okay, this is the one I've been looking forward to the whole time on the agenda. So, Mick, do you want to kick this one off? Are we all live, by the way, Chris? All good?
Can you hear me? Is that working? Yeah. Welcome back from... No, is that coming through? Yeah, welcome back from the break, guys. As Ben just said, really excited about this. We've got a super Titan panel for you right now. So, leading off, obviously, Simon Beard, you heard this morning, brought up so much energy and talked about that goal setting. I've been using the goal setting process myself from what they've been showing us, and really I've gone up to the next level in relation to it. Completely changed the way I've thought about that and getting down to the whole purpose. So in the break, a lot of people were asking me, we're going to have, what's Emil like in terms of energy? And I said, Emil's the next fucking level. And I go, and he does like to drop the old F-bomb. But so if you thought Simon had high energy, Emil in relation to sales and everything else in terms of leadership is another level again. And so obviously I don't have to say much about Mark Bouris. So founder of Yellow Brick Road, Celebrity Apprentice, he was on, I'm Fired, You're Fired, and obviously his two podcasts, which I listen to religiously, so Straight Talk and The Mentor. So can everyone give a hand to our panel? So. Ben, do you want to start off with a question for the...
Yeah, I've got to see that slide. Okay, who we got first? Okay, we're going to go straight into innovation. So how accounting firms and their clients stay innovative in a rapidly changing financial landscape. So I'm going to go straight for you, Mark, on that one. Because
good question. Well, I can't say I can't speak for accounting firms, obviously, because I'm not in one. But in terms of innovation, for me, it's the mindset of the principal. So it starts with the principal, and if the principal of the principals of the organisation aren't innovative in their own mindset, then don't expect anybody else within the organisation to offer anything up. I think the other thing is you've got to build a platform within the firm that welcomes innovative ideas. So I was talking to Mark, who's one of the accounting guys in this room today, just a little bit while ago, about when I was working in a law firm in it was in the 80s. That's how far back I go. And we had a senior partner of the firm. The senior partner of the firm found most of the clients. But one of the good things, which meant we weren't really growing, but the thing about the senior partner of the firm is that we didn't have anything digital, but he did build a platform within the organisation that actually rewarded and encouraged new ideas. And basically he was rewarding and encouraging new ideas about how one gets around legislation. And in those days you could do that sort of thing. You can't do it today. But within the firm, if you come up with a new idea that got around a piece of legislation, in our case it was around banking, laws. There was a lot of tough banking laws in Australia in those days, especially what they call exchange control. But how could our clients get around those controls? And that platform was built by the senior partner. It was more an intellectual exercise because, a lot of law firms like to gaze at the navel, but think about intellectualizing ways around things that are perceived problems. In other words, solutions around problems. But then ultimately, that encouragement allowed all of us to get excited, and we'd all sit in a room and we'd meet once a month and we'd go through all the ideas, and we actually had a little box we used to put the ideas in, and they all got taken out. They were anonymous, and they all got taken out at the end of the month, and we all sat around and tried to work through those ideas in order to solve problems for our clients. So, point being, in accounting firms, law firms, whatever type of firm it is, the mindset of the principal, in my case it was the senior partner of our firm, was that he wanted to encourage innovation. Innovation in our case was not so much about making more money, but in our case was about solving intellectual problems. But that could have easily been something that we then went and pushed out to our clients via, if we had email in those days, we didn't have email those days, but if we had some way of talking to our clients, pushed the idea out to our clients, and then we could have waited for our clients to, let's call it take the hook, and then give us a call back to work through with them how that innovation might affect or help their business. So accounting firms, my view on that, to answer that question, it's about the mindset of the principal. It starts with the principal and then encouragement and having a protocol whereby a digital protocol whereby people can actually put their ideas up in front of people, and they're never quashed. You don't quash good ideas ever. You encourage intellectual exercise always.
And it's probably an important time now, especially with the prevalence of AI coming through, that you really are pushing that innovation and getting your team to buy into it, because it is, our industry, in particular, the bookkeeping side of things is prime for disruption from AI.
Well, that's an interesting thing about AI, if I could just interject quickly, because AI is just an outcome as a result of a machine learning from a data set stuff. And then the machine comes up with a solution that you can use en masse. And, but not everybody in this room is going to have that opportunity, because they probably don't have these massive data sets, and they're probably not going to go and invest in artificial intelligence in order to scan their clients' data sets to come up with a solution. But nonetheless, a principal is doing machine learning as he's going along, or she's going along, because they're basically taking the data set of what they know, and they're applying, they're learning about the particular client, learning about the problems that clients present, and they're learning about solutions as a result of perhaps reading all the latest law cases or accounting standards, etc., and they're applying that themselves. So we are all machine learning all the time. Just that now, proper machine learning, artificial intelligence that we talk about, is much bigger data sets and can work through it much quicker. That's the only difference. But we are machine learners, all of us. We always have been.
Yeah, and just on that, so Emil, just with your never give up real estate, I know you've changed a lot of innovation in the real estate industry, but what are the things that you've seen how you've changed your business in the last couple of years?
I'm just hoping that you don't fire Simon and myself by the end of this conversation. So my wife did say, make sure you behave yourself, and I never wear a color shirt, but she said, look at Mark Bouris, he's always dressed in a suit, so you better look nice as well.
You look great. Yeah. I was surprised when you
make
turned
sure
up
this is recorded so I can send it to my wife as well. And I think that when it comes to the world that we are living in now, everything I feel like is moving a lot faster than our own brains. And as I'm getting older, I feel like sometimes I'm getting slower picking up everything that is happening every single day. One of the things that we have done when we launched NG Real Estate only 8 years ago, and company is on the track to sell over $3 billion worth of real estate this year, and we still think we're a small company. But what we have done 8 years ago, we thought real estate in general, it was very boring industry. And no offense to you accountants, you guys are another fucking level. You know what I mean? You guys are not, like, what's exciting about fucking accounting? Nothing. There's two people that I don't personally love that much. One is fucking lawyers, and one is accountants, because my accountants always tell me how much tax I have to pay. I was like, but then they make me feel good. I'm really making $1, so it doesn't matter what you pay. But one thing that we wanted to make it exciting from the marketing perspective as well, because when it comes to real estate, the way it was done traditionally over 100 years is done the same way. What I mean by the same way, 30, 40, 50 years ago, anybody that puts property for sale, there will be for sale sign in front of the house. There will be little square box on the window of the real estate office. So entire concept, and then they will advertise in newspaper. Entire concept was done in real estate. Buyer has to go and look for properties. So buyer would have to drive through the suburb and see what signs are there in front of the homes that are for sale. Or buyer has to go to real estate office to see what properties they have on the window. Or buyer has to go and buy a newspaper to see what's for sale. And over the last 8 years or 10 years, it's done the same way. Buyer has to go on realestate.com to see what's for sale in that specific suburb. It's the same way, in accounting world as well, because if you need an accountant, you have to go and search for one. And when we started 8 years ago, we were like, man, where is the world going today? Every freaking person is on social media. And we have never lived in such a better world that we can reach out to anybody easily. We can send DM to Mark or anybody else. You know, if he doesn't reply, somebody from his team might reply. But everybody's on social media. So we thought, marketing-wise, we need to create a marketing to be able to hunt for buyers. Instead of sitting on our ass, we have to be proactive and hunt for them. And I thought to myself, because everything is moving so fast, and maybe I'm not capable, just like many of people that are sitting in this room. A lot of you probably are very good leaders, leading your accounting firm, but the strength is in the young people. So anybody, you know, I've got our guys that are running a marketing department at 18, 19, 20 years old. Like, you know, when you look at them, you know, like, you're so young, what the fuck do you know? You know, you're so young. But these guys know where the current trends are. So one of the things that we have done, that we are doing, or that I'm doing personally, I'm very good finding people that are a lot more capable than I am in a field where I'm extremely weak. And that's how I try to stay ahead of times all the time. Because right now, if you're in a business with accounting firm or financial planning firm for 30, 40 years, you've got all the experience in the world. But there are guys that are 25, 30 years old that want to get to your position a lot faster than you did. And they have all the resources right in front of them to go after you hard and fast. And only way we can stay ahead, ones that are a little bit old, I'm 45 now, same age like you, Mark. I look older than you anyway. But the reality is, you know, the younger people, the way I feel is I just look for the talent that are mad in their own way, but they know how to actually go ahead with times, because the life that we are living in now, we can be behind in a second.
Yeah, and just Simon, because we just had Andrew on stage before talking about the wealth going from baby boomers to generation X and Y. If you're looking at an accounting firm and going into their business, what innovation idea would you help them to capture that market?
I think to capture the baby boomer market.
From baby boomers to more the generation X and Y.
So I sort of think, and I suppose since, you know, starting my personal brand and stuff, is it's amazing how many founders and stuff have reached out about, you know, oh, how do I do an exit? How do I get money off the table? How do I sort of do it? My more thing is, though, I don't see anyone running ads to them and saying, do it, get exit ready. Because I know when I started the process, it was 3 years, you know, and you could start with so many hooks. Like, I don't know if there's some database, it's great, but, you know, if you're going to exit, you know, you got to get rid of like Division 7A loans and shit, because most of these ones are stacked with them, right?
Yep.
But you could start with that hook, right? Do you have Division 7A loans? Like, we can help you, or get exit ready, you know, and especially for my thing is doing especially if you could do a pulse check or some sort of thing to bring in clients. Yeah. Like, that's all the hook that you need.
What about, like, so the first question, I don't know why accountants don't do this. What's your business worth today? Yeah. So you go on your next client meeting, do you want to know what your business is worth? Because some people think their business is worth 20 times, and in reality it's not. So these are the strategies we need to do for the next 3 years for it to be worth 10 times or 20 times. But what's it actually worth today? Out of those 3.2 million companies in Australia, they don't know their business valuation.
And we actually do that, as you're aware, in our firm, Ben. We do through our, I guess I'll call them our A-grade clients. We provide as part of their annual packages. We actually do a business valuation, sit down with them. We go through all of those triggers and say, look, if you play with these metrics, whether it be marketing or whatever it is, and there's generally about 70 questions through that and different trigger points, then we would expect the result to be X in 12 months' time. And then we sit down with them, and obviously we attempt to sit down with them throughout the year, so preferably on a monthly basis, but at least quarterly, and actually look at where they are in relation to that and help them get them so they can go from 1 times to 3 times to 4 times to 5 times and actually get to that exit point that Simon's talking about.
And any other strategies got there, Simon?
But it is the thing now is I've spent hundreds of millions of dollars of my own money on social, since the thing, and it's like it is insane how good the algorithm is now, right? Is that it used to be all this sort of thing to do ads. That's a big thing is I try and teach the founders to do it now because it's so easy. Creative testing campaign, then you use your Advantage Plus, which is the AI scale. But the creative is the variable, the content. And this is where every word you say on it does the targeting. Like if you want to get businesses in Bendigo, you start with, this is for businesses turning over 1 million plus in Bendigo. And it will target people in Bendigo for free on TikTok. It is freaking amazing in how it will do it. There's nothing like it there's still the free reach you can get. And don't think, our customers are not on it. Like the biggest conversion I've ever seen right now is if you're targeting grandparents on Facebook because they scroll so slow and they click on everything. But that is the thing. They convert off their head, and it's just. But this is the thing: is people think they're not and that whole audience on TikTok is massive. Anyone that's got it on your phone, you won't admit it, but it's every one of us can fall into the TikTok doom loop and cook 2 hours.
So it's funny when you were talking about that at the Sheraton. I was sitting obviously at the table with our group, and I was going, "Fuck, I am one of those slow scrollers. I'm clicking on everything." And I go, "I'm not that grandfather."
I'm a grandfather. I'm the only grandfather sitting up here. No, I'm a fast scroller.
Yeah.
But can I just make because something that you raised is really interesting. Because I would have that mentor show, and I've done 500 episodes. And one of the things that startups and you guys have been through this process, a lot of people in our industry, and you guys can answer the question, they don't know what sort of structure they should have. They don't even know what an ABN is. They don't know what a TFN is. They don't know what whatever else there is. They don't know whether they should have a company or a unit trust or a discretionary trust. They don't know where a discretionary trust fits within the whole structure. So if you guys start throwing out those terms in your content, you'll hit up these people. And these people are desperate to find an accountant to do this stuff for them. They don't even know where to find an accountant. They don't know how to find somebody. Nobody actually goes on, well, maybe I don't know you because Instagram hasn't worked out that I might be someone who's interested, but I don't think anybody really goes out and talks this sort of language to the individuals. And you said something interesting about valuations.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll put it to you another way. We've all been through the process of getting a valuation that we can justify. Can someone justify our valuation? I don't give a shit what your valuation is.
Yeah.
Great respect.
No. I agree.
And I don't care what the purchaser's valuation or the investor's valuation is. I want to have valuation that I think it's worth because valuations are quite fungible.
Yeah, they are.
How can you help me justify my valuation? I want to bring someone to 20%. I think my business is worth 5 million. How can you help me make it?
And that's part of the process we do. We actually go through and say, what do you think it's valued at?
But if you tell customers that, you'll get them.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that are trying to raise money either from a loan from a bank or they're trying to go to Judo Bank or they're trying to get it from investors or what the hell, trying to convince their family. I reckon that's a great way to get people in.
And Mark, you just brought up a good point. So who pays for ads for socials for their business? So there's so much opportunity. Look at that.
One thing that Mark just touched base on something very crucial. Simon and myself, we deal with a lot of what I would call new entrepreneurs. These guys, they might know a product, they might know how to market, but they have no fucking clue how to run a business. They literally don't know what an ACN is, what GST is. Those guys will market anything, but when it comes to structuring the business and actually giving them, small education, how to run it, how important it is. Because most of these guys, they're behind on their taxes, they're behind on their supers. That to them is not important. The only thing they focused on is how much revenue they're going to generate, not how much profit is going to be left, how to scale a business. And I think that's a massive room when it comes to specifically new business owners these days.
Okay, geez, a lot came out of one question. Jesus. Question number 2. I love this one, leadership. What key leadership qualities are essential for driving growth in a business? With you, Mark?
Energy, and probably the second one,
Amen.
And curiosity. you, the leader, have to be curious about everything. Everything. You got to be curious how your staff think, what's making them happy, what's making them unhappy. I'm not suggesting you have to do everything for them, but you have to be curious as to everything in your industry. You have to know more about your industry than anybody else. So you got to be curious, be prepared to learn, and you've got to do that with lots of energy. And then you've got to make sure within your own organisation that you display energy. You can't walk into your organisation. Days you will feel like this, but you can't walk and feel like you're crap.
No choice.
No, if you are like that, hide, which I do, or go to my farm.
To your farm.
Correct.
Make sure you give me a dress.
The
understand, right?
The problem I face though is I do bring in that high energy into it because I've got that entrepreneur into our accounting office, and I've got in our office that's fucking dead quiet all the time. It annoys the shit out of me. And I think they actually, Tamara, my ear, will confess that they actually like when I'm not there sometimes because I bring too much energy.
Or then it comes down to recruitment. And you may be recruiting the wrong person, but alternatively, maybe you just got to do a little hackathon. I mean, how many of you guys have ever held a hackathon within your own business? There you go. Well, they're straight up. Hackathon. So like you have a thing where you invite everybody in your, maybe a couple of clients, and you put them in, if you've got 50 people, put them into 10 groups of 5. And then you get 5 things you want to solve for the business, maybe growth, maybe whatever, work 4 days a week, whatever the case may be. And then you put the 4 questions out there to the groups. All the groups spend hours and hours and hours trying to work it all out. And then you have someone who facilitate it. And then each group appoints a person to speak on behalf of the group, pitch the idea. Then the whole group makes a decision as to the outcome, which is the winning outcome, and you give prizes away, and everyone just turns up in a t-shirt, whatever, eat pizza and talk shit. But like they're cool. Those hackathons are cool. That's what guys like this do. We do it now. Our businesses too. But accountants don't do that. So to answer your question, maybe you just got to get people a little bit more wound up, and not just you being the energy bunny
and bringing them along for the ride.
Bloody oath.
Yeah. And Emil, what's the key?
I'm such a believer. I just want to add on to this leadership style that has worked for me, and we employ over 400 people now. Energy is everything. And there's one older gentleman, his name is Peter Puljic. He's one of the largest retirement village operators in the country, who's 75 years old. I feel like he's got more energy than I do. And he said, the key is to keep the energy when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 55, 60, 70, 80 through the entire process. But leadership style that worked for me, I always wanted to create and be capable of creating good leaders within my own business, because I never wanted to be a leader where I'm the only one. Better time and energy I invest in people that have so much potential, putting them up on the stool and pushing them to be leaders themselves. Then you're creating an army of leaders, and then they will build up their own teams of followers that will follow the ones that are leading by example.
And just on that as well, Simon, do you want to add to that on how much leadership you had to put in your business?
And he's got more energy than anybody. That's why I call him every morning.
Yeah, but as well, to balance out the sort of energy, it's the mentor's dilemma. I always try to have top of mind, where it's like, how do you have high standards where, you're critical, like this has got to be better, this is our standard, this is how we play at, but as well, high support. And because there's a little bit of polarity there, they sort of tend to swing one way or the other. Someone's high support, it can be all attaboys, like, yeah, keep going, but never critical on like this actual stuff they need to do to improve on the standard side. But sometimes too, if you're just all about standards, you can beat someone down so much, they actually lose energy and lose self-esteem and confidence. And we've all done that as well. And so I always try and think of it as that dial of, and remember there's the polarity, they sort of pull apart, but how do you have high standards and high support as a leader? And it's one of those things though, if you can bring it together, it's like the polarity I talk about, the art and science. When you bring them together, that's when the magic happens. And that's framework I've always tried to keep in my head. But I've definitely lent it way more to the standards rather than the support. But my wife has actually been awesome in fixing that.
Yeah. And Mick, just with your firm, because you got LightYear Docs, you got the We Love Group and the accounting, because you won the accounting firm of the year last year, and you had to step away that focus more on the LightYear, but you had to put your team in place for you to do that.
Yeah, certainly, Ben, and that took some time to get the right team in place, and we definitely do now. And we put and I talk about this on webinars. We put a lot of time into learning and development. We have our Wednesday lunch and learns, and where we put on food for the team, and we do that stuff all the way from technical skills through to soft skill training and stuff. But we've brought a great team. We've got Byron, who leads our accounting team and does a fantastic job. And and it allows me to concentrate on those three things I said this morning, which is strategy, amplification, marketing, and relationships. So relationships both internal and external. So you can only do that with getting the right people in place.
Perfect. And so question 3, client relationships. How can accountants build and maintain strong relationships with clients to ensure long-term growth? This is a big one. We've got to start with you, Mark.
You always start with me.
Yeah.
No, but well, I think probably first of all it's communication and quality of the content you communicate with. I'll leave the platforms for communications with my colleagues here, but communicating often is critical. So in my business, Yellow Brick Road business, we got mortgage customers all over the joint, and our game is to continually communicate to them, and we use social media to communicate to them through every branch. So every branch has its own Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. We're not really using TikTok for branches at the moment, but head office does. But nonetheless, we are continually communicating stuff to our borrowers, our mortgage clients, in order to sort of prompt them to stay connected to us, one, in terms of content, but equally to make sure that we don't lose them. So it's about retention of those clients, because our business is an annuity business, and we only earn money whilst we keep the client. If the client leaves, we don't get to make any more money. So we are continually educating our clients through communication, through what we consider to be high quality information, better than anybody else in the marketplace. In fact, we've just now come out as Yellow Brick Road has now come out as number 1 in terms of digital communication. We just went past who was number 1. It's Mortgage Choice. We just surpassed them, and it's consistent. It's 2 or 3 times a day. Every single branch. Every branch gets it. We control the admin on each of the branches' Instagram. They can post things themselves, but we are always continually putting stuff up 5 times a week, 5 days a week, I should say, and then they can do stuff on the weekend. So communication, high quality content, valuable content. That's how we tend to interact with our customers. We don't call them clients, we call them customers, but that's what we do. Persistent, consistent, high quality, often content.
And Emil, this is crucial for real estate. Client relationships are everything for repeat business. So from an accountant's point of view, how do you reckon they should maintain long relationships?
Look, I'll always say, from a real estate point of view, every time we get a great result for a client and service them well, they become your free employee. If Simon had $1 million house and he wants to sell it, and we give him a great service and we sell it for $1.2 million, for example, if he's playing golf with his mates and they said, Simon, what's happening in your life? I just sold my house. Oh, really? What did you get? 1.2 million, 1.2 million. What the fuck sold it for you?
Yeah.
So he's my free employee. When it comes to accountants, I can only speak as a person that is using accountants, and I have a couple of them in-house now. One thing that people traditionally see accountants is we go and see when we need a taxes done. And most accountants do the taxes, we see you again a couple of months or a year. If I was an accountant, I'm a fucking marketer. With me is if I'm doing tax for Simon or anybody, Simon, what else can I do for you besides your tax? I can't do everything for you, but what's your strategy over the next 5 years? And Simon can say, you know what, this is where I want to get. Well, maybe we need to change a different strategy for you to get there. Because like I said, a lot of business owners, specifically ones that are starting, we have no fucking idea what the fuck we're doing, literally. And that is majority of the business people today. That is the reality. So I would always be asking, you know what, we have done your tax, but what else can we do? What else this is where I think you actually need help. And if I can't do it, maybe this is the people I can introduce you to that can help you. And that's where you're actually building a relationship as a not just accountant who does tax for me, as a really advisor. And that's why there's a gentleman called David Rose, and he was a managing partner of Vincent's Accountants for 15 odd years. He's my advisor now in all my companies, and everything I'm doing, there's no day that I don't talk to him. There's no day that I don't pick his brain, and the fucker is charging me every single day, and I'm happy paying it because I got more out of him just a tax man.
And Simon, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I suppose from my side as being an entrepreneur, when you get those wins, what would be cool if I was the accountant on the other side, I just think is that when you had like a record day or something, if you're hooked up to the data, how do you just send an automated message like, oh, congrats, I saw you hit your record day yesterday. Just a touch point to be like you're somewhat connected and along that journey with them, and especially to help celebrate their sort of wins and give them, because it is the sort of thing.
And be there for their losses.
Yeah, and to not, and because I do think in one of your sales things, but the probably best thing to sell off is fear, right? You can actually, it's so much easier to sell off fear because we have negative bias as humans. But once you've got them as a client, to maintain that healthy relationship is giving them that encouragement and celebrating their victories, because as an entrepreneur, it actually is quite lonely. Sometimes you have no one to share that with, and you sort of don't want to boast it as always to employees or thing. And, so it would be great to just know that they're on that journey with you and that they're keeping an eye on things for you and they're cheering for you. I think that would make a huge impact, and you could actually all set it up so it's automated. But, yeah, that's what.
And I think the industry can sell those stories a lot better on social too. Like one of my pet hates I talk about all the time in social media in terms of accountants and that is they put out things like Bazzers are due on the 28th of fucking the quarter, and they go, oh, I'm being proactive. Who gives a fuck? Everyone knows that already. Like that's
You don't want to hear that, but
Yeah, give you some good news.
Yeah.
And
Can I just say one thing? Because I was asked to do something by many years ago. I chaired a task force for the government on digital, the small businesses taking up digital, processes in 2018. Anyway, one of the findings of this task force, which was, was funded by the government, was that the most trusted advisor in all Australian business owners' life is the accountant. The most trusted advisor. So, my God, if you can't leverage that somehow.
I mean, who the fuck trusts real estate guys?
No, totally. Or mortgage guys. Or lawyers, worse. So
I don't even know why Simon is on the stage with two of us here.
But seriously, the most trusted person, and it's nearly like you'd already know it and you just go, well, good on you, that's cool. But like that is fucking gold. If someone gave me that on a brand basis, you are the most trusted advisor in this country for small business owners.
Andrew Inwood just had it on one of his slides in the last keynote speech. He said the exact same thing. One of the most, obviously the top was paramedics, which is fantastic, given what I'll talk about this afternoon. But the accountants
the last ones were real estate. That's what it was.
Yeah, they were that. I think it was insurance, wasn't it? Was the least trusted.
And just over. Is there someone there? Just over to you, Mick. So what are you doing for your accounting firm for building long client relationships for Naked?
Well, I talked about it earlier, where we do a lot. We do have a large client success team and we do have like our payroll bill is quite high in that compared to an average accounting firm or a normal accounting firm, because we do put a lot of concentration on the client experience. From onboarding and all the way through their journey. So, and then we're doing a lot in relation to obviously social media. We're posting consistently, which I know Simon talks about a lot, and we're trying to get that trusted capability statement out there in relation to being a trusted advisor.
And I'll give you a little hint what can really work for accountants. Something that I did 8 years ago in real estate. Most of you are on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or somewhere or WeChat. And something that I have done and something that I will do today as an accountant. And accountants, they just don't stand out too much when it comes to the marketing, full stop. So if I'm an accountant, what I would do, let's say I've done something with Simon. maybe it's tax return or whatever it is, I would say, Simon, I'm going to go live on my Instagram 6 p.m. tonight. And I'm going to talk about, could be starting a business or minimizing tax or whatever the hell it is. Do you mind, Simon, if you join me from your home 6 p.m. on a live broadcast with me? So what's happening when I'm live broadcasting, my followers can see what I'm doing. But when Simon joins me, all of his followers will also see his live broadcast. And all my questions will be with the hook, right? If I'm working, for example, in real estate, if I'm a real estate agent and Simon joins me, I will say, Simon, how are you going? Oh my God, what a price we achieved for your home. And then he will start bragging, oh my God, Emil, thank you, you saved my life, blah, blah, blah. Now there's a difference me telling you I am good, but there's a more credibility if Simon says Emil is good. So when you're talking to your clients at 6 p.m., and most people have no fucking clue when it comes to the taxes, accounting, or how to minimize it, or how to structure it so you can borrow more money, or whatever it is. And specifically can take advantage of the property industry at the moment. We can actually lead those questions towards the industry. But when you're live broadcasting, and don't be shy to do it, straight away that other person on other side of the phone, he is promoting that you onto all of their followers. And some people, like for example, I have a few 100,000 followers on social media and everybody else on this stage. And I think one of the ladies that works for you, she has tagged us this morning. And I'm going to reshare it on my social media, which means all of my followers will see your freaking brand.
Well,
for free.
The biggest one this week, what's happening this week? What should everyone be doing? Budget. Everyone's just going to live stream all together at once. But everyone should be doing the budget for the accountants. That's a big one.
But also on a social media, Simon is very good at saying this. You don't want to sound like somebody that is actually selling something. Who wants to watch accountants or lawyers on social fucking media talk about accounting, right? Not many people are interested in that because everybody on social media wants to get entertained one way or the other. So I think, you got to find a way how to be more creative, that you are offering people more value than just telling them this is how you do tax, because not everybody goes on social media to learn about the tax. So make it more reliable to every human that's on it.
Yeah, and over to you, Simon, on that one, mate.
Sorry, what was this question?
I don't know.
I think it went,
mate.
snaked around.
We're on to, we're going over to resilience. Actually, no, which one are we on now?
We'll start with resilience.
Emil's lost me now.
We'll just,
We're doing leadership.
yeah. So
We're on leadership.
I just said, us entrepreneurs, half of the time, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. This is the perfect evidence here.
Perfect. So you're up next, then? Me?
okay. I guess one of the common questions that gets asked, and something I wanted to ask the whole panel, was in relation to the failures you've had as you've been growing in business and your personal life. What's something that really shaped where you got to today?
I've had heaps of failures. I'll tell you a quick story about accounting. So many years ago, I did a Commerce Law degree at university. So I first started off as an accountant. I worked in an accounting firm, became partner of an accounting firm at 25. It was a small to mid-range firm. It had 12 partners at the time. We had an office in Perth and one in Sydney. As a young bloke, I got quite upset with the fact that I was a young partner, like I was a new young partner, junior partner. The senior partners were, and you all guys know how this all works, senior partners were all making all the money and I was doing all the work. And that's how it felt like to me.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But I thought, this is a stupid model. I don't like this model. So I got the other young partners who just got admitted into the partnership at the same time as me. And anyone here from Sydney? You remember the restaurant called Grotto Capri? The old Grotto Capri had all these oyster shells on the outside. So I called a meeting with the younger partners. I said, let's hire a room at the Grotto Capri. I was 25. And let's all get around and sit down and eat oysters and shit like that. And they said, what did you call me for, mate? I said, well, we're going to take over the accounting firm. And they said, what? And I said, we're going to take over the accounting firm. And they said, well, how? We can't afford to buy it. And I said, no, we're not buying it. We're taking it over. And they said, how are you going to do that? And I said, we're just going to take it over. And they said, well, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, I'm going to get it. I've got the client list. You got your client list. We all got the client list. We're going to send a letter out to all our clients. In those days, it was letters. We sent a letter out to all our clients, invite them to a launch at the Wentworth Hotel in the city. And we're going to announce the firm's changed its name to Bouris, Dowd and Vince. And they went, what the fuck? And so we held this function and we had all our clients there. It was about 95% of the firm. On the weekend, we changed the locks on the doors of the place. We changed the signage in the reception. And
All legal.
it's totally legal. There's nothing illegal about it. But it was nothing legal about it either. So Monday morning, the senior partners couldn't get in. We were already in running our new business called Bouris Davids, and this is one of my biggest mistakes, by the way. So they said, what's going
Doesn't
on?
sound like it at all.
They said, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And we said, and this, I guess what we're talking about here is young people like me, who was a pretty well-qualified young guy. I want to work my ass off. I had ambitions. They were not giving me any platform to develop my ambitions. You know what I mean? That was sort of their mistake. It turned out okay for them because we had in those days a thing called a Phillips Trust. I don't know if Service Trust. I don't know if they still have those things, but the firm had one, okay? And in that Phillips Service Trust were all our computers and all our admin shit and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if they do the same thing, et cetera. And in that trust was a little software business. We're talking about late 70s, early 80s, and a little business which was sort of developing some software. Anyway, that little business went off and bought a small share registry business. In those days, share registry business were manual, if you recall. And a couple of our clients were listed companies, and we used to do the share registry work for them, manual, etc. Anyway, the senior partners, we had to do a deal. They said, okay, you guys, we can keep the accounting firm. We had to pay them some royalties. They were free to go off and run their own businesses, and they took some clients. But we said to them, look, we don't want the little service trust. You can have that. Well, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life was that business became a company called ComputerShare. That's the biggest mistake I made in my life. And my mistake, and what I learned about that was this, like I was a young guy full of urgency, mad as a hatter, would take risks no matter what the extent of the risk, sometimes out of naivety. My risk-taking was largely, a lot of times, based upon naivety, but I was always in a hurry in those days to, make my mark in the world. And I just, probably what I learned from is you can't stab people in the back. You must respect people in the organisation, whether they're above you or below you. But equally, they should have respected me a little bit too, probably given me more respect, but it ultimately worked out okay because I stayed in that firm for one more year and I left and went and joined a law firm. Because the law firm actually recruited me. They offered me much more money than I was getting paid myself in this firm. And I felt as though it was a better career I wanted to pursue. And I pursued that career for 7 years. But nonetheless, that's my biggest mistake. Definitely the biggest mistake in a financial sense because ComputerShare's the world's largest share registry company today. Start off from a little service trust.
Emil?
The biggest mistake is probably the next one. Because we never stop making them.
Yep.
But I'll tell you one thing, my biggest mistake in life in general is probably taking too long to realize the value of life. And how, I'm 45, so technically I'm half fucking dead if I get to live healthy till 90. And by look of it, most of you are either similar age to me or older. Which means you are every day, when this day is finished, you are closer to your ultimate destination, being fucking dead. And that part, we cannot run away from. Because when you are young, you're just running a fucking race like there's no tomorrow, without any training. And I always say, one of my mistakes, obviously, when you realize the value of life, then you start doing things differently. You start valuing people around you differently. You start valuing your time differently. I'll just tell you a quick story. 2 months ago, I had a call from Starlight Children's Foundation. I donated, we raised a bit of money for them last year, and they gave me a call. And they said, it was Thursday afternoon. And they said, Emil, there's a dying boy. He's 15 years old. He's got about 3 weeks to live. And his dying wish is for him to be driven in a supercar. I'm fortunate enough to have few supercars. When they told me that, I said, of course we're going to do it, thinking we're going to burn the fucking street. I called my 10 mates, and we went to his house, and we made a lot of noise, and we made him smile, and he had 3 weeks to live at that time. Matthew, his name is. And it was hard watching somebody dying, 3 weeks to live. 3-4 weeks past that, his father called me. He said, Matthew is dead, 15 years of age. And he said, do you mind coming to the funeral and bring one of your cars? And when the ceremony is finished, and, when the funeral car starts driving, if you can, make some noise, and, for him, because he liked that. And we did. What the fuck would Matthew do right now, give to be alive? I mean, big mistakes, who gives a fuck you made them? Because the good news is, and the bad news, whichever way you're looking at it, you're going to make thousands of those. You are human, and we're not born with the knowledge that we're trying to gain every single day. So those mistakes, you know what? The problem that we have as a humans, we beat ourselves up so fucking much about how we fucked up yesterday. The good news is, if you learn from it, you won't do it again and keep fucking moving forward. So my mistakes are make them every single day. Try to minimize my risk as I'm getting older, so I don't fuck up that much, so I can't get up again. But fuck me, going back to Matthew's story, his parents, and many of you are parents here, you have kids, imagine losing a child. All of your fuck ups or your problems that you have today are irrelevant.
Means nothing. Yeah.
Means fucking nothing. So just keep fucking up and keep getting up and keep moving forward.
Simon?
Plenty of failures, and I do think it is something so common with entrepreneurs. I've just noticed that trait is that when something breaks or something goes wrong, then they apply more energy. And the difference between, especially when you see a lot of B or C players in the team, is when something breaks, they do the dead dog, like, this sucks, or this, and blame. And it's just that little shift difference of, when something sort of goes wrong and you make a mistake, you don't sit around and beat yourself up. You're even more intense and more energy. And I know for us, we had a fire. We lost our warehouse, $10 million in a day. And it was this thing. But I got up the next day and I did my routine. I was, still cold plunge and Wim Hof breathing. And I remember thinking there, and I was like, you know what? If I was back at the markets with $50 in my wallet, I know knowing the skills that I could build this motherfucker back. And I'm just like, this is better than starting with $50. I'm just going to go. And I know in that next 3 days, I'd never been more productive in my life. And, I'd got a new warehouse. I built a new team. It was sort of the ultimate clear out of the team, because those weaker players were like, did the Homer meme into the bush, like, oh, this is too hard. And the ones that were left were like, let's do this. And we actually grew more that year, because this happened January 10. By the end of the year, we'd grown more than any year in the past, starting from scratch back and building back because of that. And so it is always the thing is when something breaks, just always remember, don't dare dog. It's more energy. Whatever you thought the energy, there's another level and there's another level. Just keep expanding.
And it's because you have a bulletproof mind, Simon. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think humans are very good at beating themselves up. With you, I always say human nature, a lot of people, specifically when they're in sales, when there's a good news, we want to jump and touch the fucking sky and scream. When there's a bad news, we want to buy a fucking rope, hang ourselves. Yeah. Fast. And if you can find the balance and still thrive and scream if there is a good news, but if there's anything bad, just have that level mindset to not be affected by negative news. And I always say the art to being in business for me is learning how to not be disappointed in an outcome that we have quite often in our life.
And Simon, you said an important word then before, routine, which I started off the day talking about obsession and routine and the importance of it. High achievers and high net worth people, and obviously the panel's worth, as we said, net worth over $1 billion is quite impressive. How important is routine to the three of you? I know I heard on one of your podcasts recently, Mark, or on social media, said, sometimes at the end of the day you do fuck up, but the important thing is you get back into the routine the next day. And Simon, you go through that routine every morning in relation to your health and your fitness. What is routine one of the ultimate things you need to have in your life?
Yeah, it is the ultimate in building that discipline of, and that's why I started with I do a cold plunge, like I've got it in my house, but I've done this, and this is like the trend. I've done it for 6 years now and never missed a day. And if I'm on holidays, I'll just do cold shower, but I beeline there from waking up, trying within like 30 seconds and don't hesitate and go straight in. And it's that training of doing the hard thing, because every time your mind tries to talk your way out of it, oh, not today, it's too cold, it's this, it's raining, it's like, and then you just do it and train it. And then, I've been doing that, and, I'm a big one on Wim Hof breathing's really cool for building that stress muscle to handle more. And I've been pretty big on routine, and tweak that morning routine for 15 years. And I cannot, emotional state management as an entrepreneur, it's probably up there with the biggest skill, because you've got to have the most certainty on the team and you're taking on the most uncertainty, right? So it is one of these things is you have to be able to handle it, and that is part of it. And you've got to train it. It's just a muscle. It's emotional fitness. It's a muscle. You train it, you get stronger. You don't train it, you get weaker.
Mark?
Routine is critical for me. But I want to say just something quickly. I also take the view, one of my routines is at the end of the day, I don't give a damn how bad my day is, but I'll always find something that I bank. I say bank a win. Find as many wins as you can, and it can be as simple as getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever time Simon gets up, and as simple as I beat the Jiminy Cricket on my above me, telling me not to get in the cold bath. If that's bankable, I didn't eat too much, or ate well, or I saw someone in my office who I smiled at, and that person would not normally smile at me because they're pretty shy. I'll go back and I'll examine every little thing that it win. I might have had a shit day generally. I mean, most of your days are pretty average. You just get a couple of good days every now and then. But I'll find something that I bank. And routine is a really important thing for me. And I don't do the cold plunge, but I do have a routine. But one of the things that drives my routine is, and Emil said it earlier on, he talks about how short our life is in perspective. Well, if anyone in this room wants to get a real good perspective on, read a book called 4,000 Weeks. It's a book that Dr. Peter Attia, the famous bloke on longevity, says that is his favourite book of all time. So I went and bought it about a year ago, and it's called, I said 4,000 weeks. I've got 676 weeks left, okay? That's not very fucking long. When you think about it, you put perspective, then you look at my grandkids, look at my kids, some aren't married, some are married. I'm thinking about, hang on, I want to make sure, and by the way, the marginal value of your remaining weeks gets less and less as you get closer to the end of the 676 weeks. So question becomes for me, how am I going to live my best 676 weeks? And how maybe I get another 1,000, for example, get another 20 years on top of my age. So in order to do that, you've got to have this routine. Yep. The routine is about sleep. Have a strategy around sleep. Have a strategy around your exercise. Have a strategy around your nutrition. Just those three things. That's simple enough. But actual strategy, just to say, I'm sure Simon's got a strategy. He just doesn't do the cold plunge. He's got a cold plunge at a certain temperature. He's got a strategy about how long he stays in it there in the water for. It's much more detailed than just jumping in. He's not just jumping in, jumping out.
That's what I do when I'm at Simon's place. He's there for 3 minutes. I'm there for about 3 seconds.
But it's about temperature control, and it's about what it does for you. And you do it in the morning for a reason, as opposed to doing it at night for a reason. You're probably doing infrared if you get a chance to do infrared. You're probably exercising for certain functions, which is what I do. You're probably having nutrition to maintain a certain exercise regime, and you're having sleep so that you can get up in the morning and do those sort of things at a certain time. You're not going to bed at midnight and getting up at 4 o'clock.
No, and a Whoop is the best, that HRV being the best measure. It is like, your variable heart rate of just how much your recovery and everything matches. But I've just been such a big one. And that was this is where I really think, this non-alcoholic trend that's happening with a lot of Gen Z. And I think it's from the data though, because I know for me it stopped. Once I had it, those 1 or 2 beers, you realise your HRV is cooked for like 3 days. And it's just every time I'm like, oh no, I'll just wait. I'll just leave.
I think you talked about it after your 40th birthday on your socials and stuff, and you were actually monitoring it from. I know you and Emil were down in Melbourne.
The reason why he's saying that because on his 40th we drank enough for 40 fucking years ahead. So
but it takes a whole week to recover, and that's that.
I'm still recovering. That was too much.
It is great to be able to have that data and put it back, and this is going to be even more so with AI. I saw a guy talking about how it'll be in the future of, all the agents and the anticipation. It will be like when this finishes, my Uber will be out the front. It will be measure my blood sugar, across all my nutrients. It would have had to send the recipe to some chef that they would have already made it there to my exact specs. The Uber's picked it up. It's automated. It's sitting in the back seat. That's the future. Is going to be so frictionless and so automated. All that data connecting and talking. And, I'm super bullish on the longevity that if you can just sort of make that next 10 years, there's going to be so much change that you're probably going to be able to, cross the chasm for who knows how long. So, yeah.
And Simon is very good when it comes to routine. Before I tell you my routine, when we met, about 18 months ago, and last year Simon built a new house, and he built literally a day spa. He's got cryo, steam room, sauna, ice bath. Anyway, I never heard of this cryo, which is, I call it a freezer. You walk in there and it's minus 85. And it's supposed to make you feel better, and it does. And at the moment, I'm building a house, and I said, Simon, you know what? I want to do the same thing. I want to put it into my home as well, so I can live longer like you, because he thinks he's going to live like a fucking dinosaur. That's how he's living. And so I called the guy, and he flew all the way from New Zealand. And I was like, I'm going to install this. It's like $20,000, $30,000. He said, okay, Emil, I can do this for you now, and sends me an invoice, $250,000. I called Simon. I said, are you going to be fucking kidding? I have to pay $250,000 to be frozen for 3 minutes every day so I can live long. I'm going to die sooner by doing this. But he has changed my life, how my routine is every morning. Because, healthy body, healthy mind. But my biggest routine is this. Every morning, I wake up next to a beautiful creature, which is my wife. And I have a conversation with myself within 2 seconds. That's my biggest part of routine. I'm grateful. I'm alive. I'm living the life that I want to live. And I'm preparing my mind for entire day that's going to be ahead of me. I will be dealing with shit. I will be meeting potentially some fuckwits that want to hit with a baseball bat if it was legal. But I'm going with an open mind, open heart, mad fucking mindset. I will conquer my day. And when my day is fucking finished, end of the day, I know I haven't wasted this day. So me saying I'm one day closer to my ultimate destination, well, at least I know I'll live my fucking day. So all this goes through my mind every single morning when I wake up, so I'm ready. And then my routine starts with whatever I'm dealing with every single day. But that mindset, I'll lock myself in this, because reality is, all of you know, business is fucking hard. We are dealing with shit all the time. Family might have issues. So we are constantly hit with challenges every single day. And when you put yourself in that, mad mindset, everything becomes beautiful.
And if no one's following Emil on socials, make sure you do, because he definitely follows that routine. He talks about it most days as well. So before we open it to the room, I just wanted to, obviously we've got two people, obviously Mark in the mortgage space and Emil in the property space, and there was some commentary yesterday supposedly that Mark said, so I'm assuming you said it, if it was on news.com.au, about comments about supply issues in the Australian property market. And Emil, I guess I'll hand over to you first. You're at the coalface in terms of real estate agency and the issues that we're facing. There was another article as well talking about the ability for and I know there's been a lot of discussion for a while about the ability for people to be able to actually, the younger generation to pay for a house deposit, and they're saying it's completely out of reach now. So we've got supply issues, we've got migration still coming in, of open borders effectively. What are you feeling and seeing out there, and what should be people doing? Like, obviously you'd be saying buy property and invest in as much as you possibly can.
This is the biggest issue with young generation today. They all want to live in a great locations. They all want to live in a trendy places, and they all want to buy great apartments. 3 fucked up things they're chasing. First of all, there is no growth in apartment. Developer is already milking the fuck out of every single young person. He's not giving them much room to add any value. 2, when it comes to, and they're trying to stretch themselves too far what they can afford. Every single young person, at any time I have over $100 million worth of property deals, and I go my personal developments. And one thing that I say to all the guys that are working for me, go to affordable areas. In Brisbane, that is, for example, Ipswich. If you ask any young person here, would you live in Ipswich? Yes. Probably not. But you would in fucking New Farm. Right? Because trendy restaurants, bars, fucking, you're young. Who the fuck wants to live in Ipswich, right? So in New Farm, I will give you a perfect example of one of my clients, who's a doctor. He bought an apartment in New Farm for $500,000 in a building. There's 700-800 apartments. 3 years later, he sold it for $485 because he has bought it from developers with inflated prices and so on. But there's all the guys that are working for me. I said, go and buy a shitty house on a big block of land in Ipswich, or in Sydney would be whatever is, 40, 50, 60 kilometers out of it. And, one of my staff, he bought it for $500,000. And Ipswich is, the more expensive prices become, places like Ipswich that are affordable become more attractive because there's only fucking place people can afford. So that's where the value is. Value is in a land. Don't buy stuff that is completely finished, and then you can add potentially value. But unfortunately, the young people are trapping themselves into these fucking units, and they try to resell it 5, 7, 10 years later, and there's no equity in it for them to afford something more. So I think us educating young generation, that's the biggest problem, where to buy and how to buy, and building, government, if government is giving incentive to developers to develop more so the young generation can buy there, it's just building a bigger fucking trap for them not to be able to scale up if they have 2 kids, because they're not going to have much equity in it over time. That is my 2 cents.
I was at the AFR Property Summit, and I probably said a few things that upset a few people, but there's no way in the world that the Australian government or anybody, developers or anybody, is going to be able to keep up with the supply demand of this process. So that says to you something quite interesting, that Australian property is probably going to go up. Will probably go up less in apartments than it will on houses, because land is the most valuable component of everything. But I found out something very interesting during the week, that in China, if a lot of people, the government in China encouraged developers to build apartment buildings, and they were basically just changing whole rural environments in a big metropolitan areas. There was a new city growing every week of 1 million people plus, able to house 1 million people plus. So they're building all these apartments, and as we all know, that China's got a bit of trouble because it's got an excess supply of real estate now, but no one's living in them. So everybody, though, in China was being encouraged by their lenders over there to buy property. So I live in China with my family, got the house, family house, and I go buy 5 properties, 5 apartments, but they're unoccupied. No one's living in there. Then what the government decided to do was, hang on, this is a bit of a drama. The Chinese government, they decided this is a problem. Everyone's got too many properties. So we, the Chinese government, will say to you, if you've got more than 1 property outside of where you live, we're going to now tax you in China. Tax the Chinese residents. So what's happening to the Chinese residents? Say, well, stuff that, I'm going to sell everything I got, sell all my spare apartments. I'm not going to pay tax on something. I don't even have a tenant because there's no tenants. So what's actually happened then, they've all worked out pretty quickly that Australia has the opposite problem. Australia has no supply, excess demand. People are just flooding into the country as a result of immigration. It's our immigration policy and natural growth as well. And that's one of the reasons why house prices in Australia have continued, land price I'm talking about, have continued to go up. So if I'm talking to my kids, I've got 4 sons, and I do this, obviously, I say to my sons, like Emil just said, buy land. I don't give a shit. We're buying Moreton Bay, Deception Bay, or whatever it is up there in northern Brisbane, wherever it is. You could buy a house up there on a block of land. You get a tenant, but you get a house up there. You might not get very good yield, but you get a house up there on a block of land for maybe $600,000-$700,000. Go and buy in Adelaide. We'll lend you money in Adelaide. We've got branches in Adelaide. But you go and buy in Adelaide, you can buy a house for $650,000. So I think that the lack of supply, which is not going to get solved by Albanese or anyone, all that's telling us is that we've got to go and buy real estate as much as we can, because as long as our ass points to the ground, Australian real estate, particularly houses, land, is going to continue to go up. And do you know Australia is the only country in the world that has 55% of their population live in 3 cities? And there's a reason for that, because Australia is pretty much an arid country. We're the driest continent in the world. And you can't go and build infrastructure outside certain areas and if you do, the government wants you, the local council expects you to pay for all the infrastructure. So if Emil's going to go in Sydney out west, way out west, yes, with the roads in, the sewerage in, the lighting in, the telecommunications, everything. And he's going to say, hang on, that doesn't make sense. The return's not there for me. So he's going to go inward, closer into the city and try and increase density. So bottom line is, I don't have an answer to the supply question. I mean, we can adopt various other models that other countries like Canada that are adopting in terms of immigration, etc. But irrespective of the model, Australian real estate, house prices in particular, whether it's in regional areas or in the metro areas, are going to continue to go up no matter what. And I'm sorry, but that's the only way I can look at it, irrespective of the interest rates. Interest rates are all-time high. We have equivalent to 17 rate rises when you add in the fact that we had 4 50 basis point rate rises. We had it in an 18-month period. It hasn't stopped anything. House prices are still going up everywhere, other than Victoria. Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to live there for a start?
Exactly. But you did have a good run for a while.
Just kidding. Victoria is beautiful. The weather is just shit most of the times. Next 10 years, we are entering as investors golden fucking times. Australia is one of the most, and still with all this crime that is happening, still the safest country in the world. We are always focused too much on negativity, but while the migration is coming the way it's coming right now, is definitely safe. But the biggest thing that I feel with young generation, nobody's educating the new young people how to buy, where to buy. The government is just pushing developers like myself, build more, and I'm thinking, fuck yeah, I'm gonna make more money. But the next generation, if they buy anything, I openly talk on my social media, never fucking buy anything from me as a developer, because my job is to make every single dollar out of you, full stop. But when it comes to the new generation buying units and not being able to add value, and because I could employ so many people that buy shit house and 1,000 square meter block of land in Ipswich for $500,000, and actually post this on my social media all the time, where they might spend $80,000 to $100,000 on a light makeup of the house, and they end up selling it for $850,000. And if they make $200,000, that sets them up to do something better tomorrow again. But if they buy a unit and if there's no value to add, they're just going to be working for that mortgage. And Mark is going to be happy.
I just better make sure that we don't lend to anybody who's buying property in one of your buildings.
Doesn't sound like it's much equity.
That's called concentrated risk.
Yeah.
Nick, do you want to open up the room?
Yeah, we'll open it up for Q&A now.
First, sorry, we'll go David first.
It's only just arrived as well.
I changed GPSs here.
Yeah. I stopped to get breakfast at the Gold Coast. It was delicious. Respectfully, you didn't answer the question. The question was, what are we going to do about kids who can't afford houses? And you gave a developer's answer, which is that housing is an investment category. The real problem, though, is that kids can't bring up their grandchildren in areas where the grandparents are, and it's supposed to take a village to bring up kids. In heavily populated cities, Sao Paulo, like make Australia look it makes Australia look not dense, what they've got there. You have apartment blocks with large footprint apartments, 4-bedroom apartments taking up entire floors, so you have higher density, and it's keeping families closer together. do you either of you, any of you, see that something happening in Australia? Because you do see it on the Gold Coast, where there is a bit more density, and you can also go further out. Well, I'd love your views on that, because we are seeing an accountant see this on the front line, because it's the dad and the mum talking to the accountant that the kids can't afford to live next to where they are. Do you see that type of development happening in Australia, or because of the policy settings where housing is an investment class, you're too incentivized to cram as much in?
I think we are past that point, people being able to live close to their families. Now we're just trying to find a way how they can buy anywhere, period. Because I remember...
the Australian dream.
Yeah, you know what? Sad part is, you are 100% correct. And that's the reality of the life that we are living today. So what I'm trying to say, yes, end of that Australian dream, 200% agree with you. But how can we still educate young people to get in somewhere? If you look at a country like Germany, I study this fucking every day. Germany or Holland and a lot of European countries, the amount of people that own their home is this little compared to Australia, because they've pushed people out of the market completely. And the way we are going now, I mean, these days, you know, I remember the first home I built when I was 18, I'm 45. I remember, I said, then it was my girlfriend and today my wife, I said to her, Giselle, can you believe we own $250,000 home? It was $250,000 house. Felt like we fucking, you know, so rich. But today, there's not much you get for $1 million. And which means for any first homeowner, they're gonna borrow $900,000. And how the fuck do they even save 100? How do you save $100,000? How do you save $50,000? How do you save it? When the rents are so expensive, because the economy is squeezing any young individual to the point there's no leftover money to save. There is no leftover money to save. So entire system is screwing the young generation up, because they might say, hey, you're gonna get first homeowners grant if you buy, for example, brand new home. But if you buy a brand new home, you're buying it from the developer that is making all the money on the young individuals, not leaving anything on the table for them to add value in the future. So that's the system that we are living in now. So that Australian dream, in my mind, it's fucking gone. Now, we might say it's not, we can come up with anything, you know, but that's the reality of it. So, you know, the way I see it, how do we educate them to buy somewhere where they can add value and not buy anything from people like developers like myself, how they can do it themselves to add a little bit of value. So if they sell it, they got a bit of a setup fund for them to do better things tomorrow.
It's really interesting what you say too, by the way. The average Australian borrower, the average age of an Australian borrower 15 years ago was 23, today's 32. So maybe the answer to your question is your great Australian dream, you might achieve it later.
You might be 85.
You might achieve it later. You might.
Mark is just about to buy his first house, by the way.
The article overnight actually said that, I think they were talking about a chef or someone working in a cafe, but said it'll take them 43 years to save a deposit to buy a property.
We've got another question at the back.
As you know, we would, because you're Australian elites, there's the global elites, there's the World Economic Forum who make comments like you'll own nothing and be happy. What are you guys, with your influence and your status, doing with or without governments to prevent this idea that your big funds in America are buying mum and dad houses up purely so they've got equivalent to SaaS, which is rent as you need sort of scenarios? I mean, if you did it in industries, the ACCC would be in there, but no one seems to be stopping the World Economic Forum pushing this whole idea of getting farmers off the land for land and not getting young people into the markets purposely so that they change the whole game.
Wow.
Well, I have to think for a second.
I recently had on my podcast Robert Kiyosaki on my podcast about 4 weeks ago, and this is a thing that he's actually gone on a tour of Australia to sort of attack this sort of process. And of course, he's very anti-left. or very anti-Biden, pro-Trump. And that's what his book's all about too, to some extent, Rich Dad Poor Dad. But what are we doing? What am I doing? Well, that's a bit of a wake-up call because, quite frankly, I'm doing nothing at this stage, probably other than opening up my podcast and my audience, probably more importantly, to those sorts of thoughts or those sorts of processes, to listen to someone like Robert Kiyosaki. I'm not aware of what you said about the World Economic Forum, but I'm sort of not surprised either. I don't think, anyway, we're not probably really a good survey, to be honest with you, and probably not anyone in this room is a really good survey because, you're all well aware of the importance of having a bit of real estate for yourself and for your kids, or whether it's near where you live or 100 kilometres away, it doesn't really matter. So my gut feeling, what I hope, just as a response, having thought about it now, my gut feeling, what I hope is that the majority of people just don't cop that view. That's what I'm hoping will be the case. And sometimes we live in hope, but like I haven't thought it through. I don't have a strategy. I don't have a tactic around it. I wasn't aware the World Economic Forum says that, but I'm not sort of surprised. The left perhaps would like to see that to be the position, and that's sort of like bordering on Marxism. And of course, we hear a lot of stuff at the moment. I mean, I was reading Daily Telegraph today, which is, probably not always a great idea, but I try to get I try to get a balance because I listen to the ABC radio in the morning and then I listen to and read the Daily Telegraph straight after, and try to get a bit of a balance. Then I listen to Paul Murray before I go to sleep at Sky News. So, but the reason what I read today is that they were sort of having a go at Dr. Jim Chalmers, who's going to deliver the budget tonight, about how his pro-Marxist views, pro-Marxist ideas. So yeah, there may well be, I don't know if there's a conspiracy that exists, but sometimes I think to myself, and by the way, entrepreneurs, we think we're immune from this shit. We think that we've got the kryptonite to keep them away, okay? It's probably wrong in our own views because it won't affect us. But
Yeah, wrong most of the time.
But we are probably wrong. But they were talking about how Marxism has actually crept into government and they decide policy. And maybe tonight you'll get a bit of a sense of that when you see what the budget's like and make your own decision. Are these things really global phenomenon, conspiracy is really happening? If you take the Daily Telegraph's view, the Daily Telegraph's view is, yes, that is the case. But then, the SMH and the other Fairfax papers probably say that's not the case. So we got a division. You said it earlier, Emil. There's a fucking division that exists in the world today between pro-Biden, pro-Trump. There's one that exists here in Australia. But the rest of us are all in the middle. And I think that's the problem with politics. No one represents the middle anymore. You guys are middle Australia. We're sort of middle Australia in that, we sit in the middle in terms of our views. That's the way I see it. I'm not one side or the other. I sit in the middle and I'm for the middle. But then no one fucking represents me. Small business owners, no one represents small business owners. Nobody. No one gives a shit. There's no organisation who'll get up there and say to Jim Chalmers tomorrow morning, mate, you fucked up again in your budget. You've done nothing for small business. It's all bullshit. The whole lot, you're just talking shit. You'll say, we're doing this. They're going to say small business tonight, we're going to give you investment allowance of up to 10 grand or something ridiculous. What the fuck? Who do you know in your client base who spends 10 grand on their small business to buy? You can't buy a tractor. You can't buy anything. You buy a trailer for 10 grand. So maybe there is something in your point in this. We're slightly going off cue a little bit. We're talking about longevity and health, and now we're talking about conspiracy theories. But maybe there is something in that.
Do you think that's the reason, part of the reason behind the rise of the Teals from the Liberal Party?
Many years ago, I was asked by somebody who I won't mention to form a moderate party, and they were going to fund me to do it. I didn't do it because I thought the last thing I want to do is be going down to Canberra. Yeah, spending 6 months a year down that shithole and having to walk past politicians who talk shit their whole life. I didn't do it. But what's interesting, this particular.
If you paid him enough, he'll be.
No, I wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it. But the point being is the Teals then came off the back of that, and the individuals behind the Teal teals and funding the teals
Yep.
was off the back of trying to present someone who sits in the middle, a little bit of green, a little bit of business, a little bit of that.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
More importantly, not Labor and not Liberal,
Yeah,
and not
correct.
Nationals.
Yeah.
It was more a negative view.
Mm.
We're not that, and we're not that.
Yeah.
But you try and find out what they actually stand for.
It's difficult.
You can't find out what
No.
they stand for.
You don't know. Yeah.
And they've done nothing.
We might go on to the next question. You got a question?
Bit off the
Or do you have something? Okay.
I'm just super bullish though on the entrepreneurship that's available right now in Australia, and I think a lot of people skip over, but we're a very entrepreneurial nation. You know, one of these metrics I saw, we have the highest number of Shopify stores per capita, and my more thing is just how, I'm super bullish on it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts for a lot of these businesses that are really big and slow to move, where these real fast, nimble, I've seen it and I'm working with these ones out. They can get to like 50 million with 5 or 6 staff. And my thing, it's not like they're taking all these jobs, they're creating this wealth and these jobs, and they're taking them from those dinosaur companies. And I sort of feel that it is with the AI and the innovations that are going to come, and that's why I suppose for my point is to as much push the message of entrepreneurship and show, like, I started at the markets, $30 rent. I never knew anyone. I didn't have these connections. I just built it and had the discipline to reinvest. We were turning over 50 million, making 10 million EBITDA. I was paying myself $150,000 salary. And it was the discipline, because I was rolling that 10 million every year, betting the farm, building it, to build it bigger and bigger, to employ 1,000 people, to, list IPO. And look at all my shit now. It's all exit money. I always tell people, I grew and built it, but I want to tell people that story and show, like, you don't need to raise money. You don't need to start, like, you can actually just get product market fit, pre-sell, drive, and this is possible. And I've now working with some of these young entrepreneurs. It is crazy. Like, one this other day we started, and 4 days in, we got it to 10 grand a day. And it's like, this is insane. Like, could you think of how long does it take to even build trust or build it in the part where now Shopify, Facebook ads, you can get product market fit, it has the trust and you're away. Like, I am super bullish. I suppose for the young of the entrepreneurial, we can start thousands and thousands of small businesses that can grab market share, create jobs, and do the thing. But it is the thing, it's the discipline as well.
Just on that time, I tell accountants every day, there's 40,000 new companies set up in Australia every month.
Wow.
And the number one lead generator for accountants is new company set up. So that's our platform. So they pay a monthly fee, but they can do as many companies as they want. But from a marketing point of view, why wouldn't they just put that on their site? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Here's an entrepreneur kit, set up the company with a will, protect their assets. So why would you set up a company and not protect it and just Facebook ad the shit out of it?
Yeah.
But
And
accountants,
then
none of them,
also-
who does that? None of them.
And also say 40,000 new companies every day,
Yeah.
but probably 20,000 of them fuck up. And this is how we can help you be disciplined so you don't.
Yeah. But it just, what's happening right there, 80% of those companies set up a month aren't being set up by accountants where they were in the past. What's happening, Generation X and Y are Googling how to set up a company. They go to these really shit platforms for $50, set it up. It's not structured right. They stuff up. Their assets are out. They lose their house, their cars, everything else. So with ours, it protects the assets, put all their stuff in it. You give advice on it. That's why you still need the accountant. But accountants are losing their game because they go, I'm not going to the accountant. I'll just go set it up myself.
And that's a great idea, is lead the ad with the fear of, like, don't make this mistake, and I'm sure you do that ad right, it would work.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Yeah, no, this is for Simon. My daughter's just set up a equine fashion business, and it's looking really promising. It hasn't made any sales. Actually, today she made her first lot of sales, sold out.
Yep.
What would be the 3 points or 3 main lessons you learned right early on?
I suppose early on, and because it's in a different time, but for right now, on what's working, if she should be documenting that journey as much as she can and connecting with that organic content to the audience, because that is what cuts through on social now. Like, you don't need all the fancy, it's just phone to camera. People want that authentic connection, and that's what the algorithms are catching, and it's free. You know, she should be documenting and taking people on the journey, looking for any little parts that she can, while you're small, do the stuff that's not scalable. Every single person that buys, say the video DM, hey, Sarah, thanks so much for buying my collection. You will convert them into a raving fan. To do those videos, like every day, she gets 10 orders, 20 orders, it will take her 10 minutes. But that will resonate so big and strong. And, you know, send me a photo when you get it. Like, do the stuff that you can't scale when you're big and create a raving fan. Like, all you need to do is get that solid base of raving fans, and then that will be the ignite. Then she should learn Facebook ads. It is so easy. Compared to the hard ways of tricking up, it's like, I've now got it in a way I can get someone to expert level in 30 days. But, you know, it's just creative testing campaign and Advantage Plus, the AI, but it's the creative is the variable. And if she's putting out all the organic ones, she can look at what's working on that and then just put that into ads. And I always say, so many of these brands, they're one creative away from $1 million. Like, just the right ad, you nail it and scale it. It is, it's crazy. And the opportunity, I don't think people realize, like, just these tools and how they're able to put together, and you can do right now. And there's still so much long tail opportunity. And like, these guys sell these sunnies in Perth, 25, you know, and they just made sunnies that are safety rated, you know, for in the mines. And so all the miners wear them, like, oh, you're wearing sunnies. No, they're safety rated. That was basically the ad. Anyway, they're 25, they're doing 30 million, 6 million free cash flow profit. And it's just like, oh my God, they're like 4-star. It's like, there's so many of those where you know, and I did a video about this.
What's the name of the business?
Young tradies is the gold mine. If you can target them right now, they're just, the money they spend.
Since we have 1,000 people watching this online, what's the name of the business?
Haboo, HABOO, equine.
Awesome. But I would say just get after it, because the opportunity now is, you'll kick yourself in the future. Like, oh my God, remember you could just post on TikTok and it would go for free and all the parts, and you can learn it all in a way.
And there's so much pride in father here watching you. Awesome.
So good.
Fucking awesome. And the best thing you can do for your daughter is keep supporting her to the fucking moon, buddy.
Okay. Anyone got any other questions for us? We got one way at the back. Jesus. DJ.
Everyone,
DJ.
we should thank the DJ
Yeah,
while we're at it. She's actually a member all the way from WA, a LightYear Docs member who has DJing for us for the week. A couple
I'm
of days.
glad no
It's
one
great.
left last night, so that's a good
Great party last night.
Yeah, thanks so much for your insights, especially around property. That's literally what we had to do, just kind of keep going out to places where 20 years ago I was told, don't ever buy a place in Armadale. Who's from Perth? Oh, that's typical Perth. Anyway, hey, WA. So my question is, do you invest in crypto, and where do you foresee that going in general? Like, and how would you, people look at it as something so risky, stay away from, but does it present the opportunity it seems to have?
I just saw Emil just put his head down. I'm looking at Emil.
I think it's a good hedge. Like, it should be, like, in my sort of thing is the Ray Dalio all-weather Prince 12 uncorrelated asset classes. I think it's a great uncorrelation, but no more than 1% of your net worth in it. And I think everyone should pretty much do that as a safety net, just in case it does go to $1 million a coin. And but not more than that.
I think I invested $5,000 once to see, so I can learn about it, and then I think it's valued now about $250. But I think any young individual learning how not to be disappointed and how not to beat yourself up is very crucial. So when you're young and you work really, really hard to save $5,000, $10,000, or you have a credit card, and if you spend $10,000 on something like crypto, and if it goes down to shit, emotionally, that's going to beat you up to get up and do something again. Because then you're going to potentially, because when you're young, you're so fucking innocent and you don't have life experience to get you through life and those punches that you're going to be facing every single day. So with me is, I personally invest in things that I know I'm good at, things that I enjoy, and in people that I love working with. You can have the best idea in the world, and if you're fuck with, you fuck with. I still got to talk to you every single day, and I need to enjoy it, right? So I don't just chase return on my money. I also chase return on my enjoyment dealing with the person I'm going to be investing my money with. And when in crypto, you really have no idea who you're investing in. There are people that make a lot of money out of it, and they are really good out of it, and they could be high risk takers. They might invest 1 or 10 or 100%, but with me, maybe I'm a little bit more old school how I play safe these days.
Yeah, and we've just gone over a little bit, but we'll let Mark finish it off.
Similar to Emil, I've tried a little bit of it, like Ethereum and various other things, just to see how it works, see what I can learn about, because I was curious. I'm just interested to see how it works. I made a little bit of money, not much, but there's so many things to invest in the world today, like property, crypto, shares, blah blah blah, business, invest in small business, startups, etc. So you can't invest in everything. You might be able to invest in everything if you've got enough money, but you also got to manage it, monitor it, and you can't manage and monitor everything, every single investment. So I choose not to. That's one of the ones I choose not to, because there's just too much in that world that I don't know. And the people who seem to be making money out of it, people I talk to, they know everything about the industry. So it's like they're obsessed about that particular game, and I can't compete with them. So I choose not to in that regard. I'd rather look at property. I'd rather look at small businesses and things like financial services, like I do, like lending money. That is, I choose to look at just 3 businesses, and your bandwidth. All of us have a bandwidth to some extent, and you've got to play to your bandwidth. So I choose crypto as one of those things outside of my bandwidth. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I choose it's outside of my bandwidth.
When you're young, your biggest investment is investing money, if you can, in yourself, educating yourself about where you want to go towards the future with whatever you make.
Yeah. Okay, can everyone please thank the amazing panel? Hold on. This is what we're going to do quickly. Also, everyone's going to stand up and we're going to go into the middle. Chris, can you come up onto stage, mate? We're going to get speakers here. We're going to get a photo that way with all the speakers here while we can. Nick? And then we can have lunch. But you guys are going to go. Everyone's going to go.
That won't be me.
Into the back and in. Chris, you have to come. No, we're going to go here, Nick. Okay. Yeah, and we're going to go that way. So we'll probably have to go back and in, guys. I don't know how an iPhone's going to get that.
Clearly, technology.
All right. Chris, there we go. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to go tight up. Back in. Come on. You're going to have to stand up, mate.
Nice haircut, Chris.
You got it?
He's taking a selfie of himself.
Yeah. Here's it now. Last one, everyone, hands in the air. Up. Thank you. All right, guys, we're back in 45. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, guys, if you want to take a seat, we'll get started. Perfect. All right. Hopefully everyone had a good little break. We'll probably finish a little bit earlier today, so we're gonna fly through all these next parts for you. But guys, we're gonna kick this off with the One Life Club. So Simon and Emil have created a group they're going to be talking to you about. But Simon, I'll kick it off with you, mate. Off you go.
Yeah, so I suppose when Emil and I met and we were talking through our business journey and like, what were the things that was the real breakthrough and the lessons, and we shared so many of those stories. And it was that I saw as well, one of the smartest things that I did early on was create an advisory board for myself. And this is because I'd seen these businesses, I'm sure you guys have seen it way more than me, but, where they're on a sort of heater, they're on track, and they, especially in clothing, they can let it go to their head. They think everything they make is hot shit, and they just overcommit on inventory, discount, death spiral, and it's all over. And I'd always seen this, and I didn't want that to happen to me. And one of the things I learned is that, especially as you build a business and you build a team, you've always got to have the most certainty on your team. Like, you cannot show that uncertainty in the team, even if you've got a big problem or something, because if you let that uncertainty creep in, it will creep in them like tenfold. And it's the ripple throughout the company that I learned. But what you have to do, and it's a key concept, the best book probably I ever read, Ray Dalio Principles. He created the biggest hedge fund of all time, worth 10 billion. Then he wrote this amazing book explaining it. But he has a very good principle in there that we lived by at Coach Kings, and this was a big thing in creating One Life Club, was that not everyone's opinion is equal. It's so important to do that, in business. So I hate it when someone gets in a meeting and goes, so what does everyone think? It's like, it's whoever has the most context, the most knowledge, the most track record in that field, in that area you're talking about, has an overweighted, weighted decision in that, making that decision. It's not everyone is equal. And this is so important because we understand we have certain strengths and weaknesses, and that to remember this believability weighted decision making. And what I saw in some of these businesses and the mistakes they do is that, they'd get their whole team and what does everyone think, and doing this, or outside talking with their family, right, about a business thing, that have zero business experience, zero knowledge. They have no idea how to, in any way of that. You need to pressure test your ideas against the right audience. And I learned this as I would come up with ideas, I found this right balance where I could share it with other entrepreneurs, right, that are in the arena, that actually are battling problems every day, that are actually employing people, that are solving problems, that are making payroll, making growth, and figuring it out, as well as what probably a lot of you here, a trusted advisor that's more from a finance side, accountant side, that is more defense sort of orientated. And that I could pressure test where I could get some people, yes, go, go, go. Other people, what about this? And I could see the blind spots, because this is where we make mistakes. You make mistakes because a big thing is ego barrier, is that thing I was talking about at the start, where you think, you're on a heater, you think everything works. Or the other thing is blind spots, and you don't know what you don't know. And it's one of these parts is that to pressure test your ideas in those right groups, especially as you're thinking through strategy, that, it's like a perfect thing about, say it's like the thing going through the sale process. I can't talk to anyone on my team about that. They would freak the fuck out the second I'd even bring it up. And they're all biased, right? Is, well, what happens to me? What does this mean for me? So you need to be able to get that right group to pressure test those ideas and really channel them so that you can make the right decision. And Emil had this, with David Rose and other partners, and I had it with Peter Hedge on my team, and this advisory board where I set up, and I had Philip Korn, who was the CEO of Louis Vuitton in Australia. I took a lot. I studied from LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, Bernard Arnault's the richest person on earth, and he learned this. The biggest thing is that principle that I've always deployed is that people buy with emotion, then justify with logic. And there's no better way to prove this than he's the richest man on the planet and he has all the luxury brands. And anyone that buys luxury, there's no fucking logic, right? You can't tell me there's logic in buying a $5,000 Louis Vuitton handbag. It's because of the emotion, the feeling, the story that it gives you, or a $7,000 bottle of champagne. That is the feeling. And then they justify it with logic and pretend it tastes better or it's well made, but it's just pure emotion. And that's how we are as humans. We make decision with emotion, then justify with logic. But this is my part, is I built my advisory board and I could pressure test my ideas. And I know, you know, and it was one of the biggest things, right? I said about my daily P&L and, you know, JobKeeper hitting, our customers were getting, and I was scaling ads because I could see, and I'm like, fuck, we are off to the races here. We're just growing and scaling more than ever. I remember coming back to the end of the, you know, to that back part of the year, because I was already running the process to sell it pre-COVID. And then I pulled it off the market because everyone, you know, the world went to shit. And then everyone came crawling back. And I was like, no fucking way would I sell the business. You know, we're making $1 million a week, EBITDA. Fuck that. I would never sell this. And this was such an important thing, is the Peter Hedge on my advisory board. And he said, do you know what? The time you don't want to sell your business is actually the most likely time you should sell your business, because when you want to sell it, it's not worth anything. And it was, I remember as that this thing is like, as much as my ego, I was like, fuck, I know he's going to be right on that. Anyway, we went through the process, and as we did, you know, it is the thing. It was and to diversify, and even going through that, like I was like, oh fuck, I don't want any cash, roll the whole lot in the IPO. And but you know, it was through them, no, just take this money, you know, and this goes in the generation, you'll never touch it. And it was so right, because if I did roll the whole lot in the IPO, you know, that was the whole thing. The rest of the IPO, my shares went up to 500 million US and then fucking down to 50 million. We're back up to like 80 now. But it was the whole thing, is that just that ability to pressure test my ideas. If I didn't have that advisory board, if I didn't have that way, there was no one in my company, there was no one in my family, there was no one in my friends that I could do. And this made it a more formal, a more part to it. We'd come to the meeting, you know, we would run the agenda, we would pressure test. And a lot of the time too, is that I would pitch and catch, but I didn't, a lot of the time it was just keep going, like don't change anything and not do it. But to be able to build this right team, it was so crucial. And that's what we wanted to do at One Life Club, is we know that lonely journey of entrepreneurship, and we know we've all got blind spots. You don't know what you don't know, but when you bring that right community together, and we do all the personality tests and the checks, and you know, and then we can share those wins that we get, that I know I wouldn't have shared, etc. on the one, because I wanted to maximize the sort of value we can create in this awesome community. And for me, it's a great way to give back to business owners, to help them on that. You know, I know the risk and the energy that it takes, and it's so good too, is that I always learned this, is when I got Shopify was really good at creating these community events for us with these e-com owners. I remember after I'd spend time with them, I'd go back to work with so many ideas to implement, to move faster, knowing it was possible, knowing it was that I could break those limiting beliefs that sometimes in your own world, especially too, if your team can get in this loop of, you know, blame, oh, it's the economy, oh, it's the thing, like it can be so in that loop where when you get out of it and you learn off different things, you can come back with the energy to shift that. And that's why we created One Life Club for businesses, you know, over $1 million turnover that we can, and we engagement, we've got some, you know, 100 million, some 50 million, heaps of all different ones, but all with different challenges at different points. And then we love running these advisory boards. And then we have other offsites and stuff as well, which has been amazing. And I've enjoyed it so much because I've been able to learn so much about other entrepreneurs and see so many gaps and understanding what's working. And then I love like that teaching and sharing the lessons and seeing, it's such a cool feeling. That's what I miss from being in the day-to-day at Culture Kings, is like, when you teach someone and you see for someone when it just clicks, it's like, and they just run with it and get the results. It's such a cool feeling. And that's what we're able to create. Both you get the lessons, plus you get to give them and sharpen your saw with other entrepreneurs in the arena. And that's what we wanted to build with the right facilitator, with the facilitators more from the defense side, because with so much entrepreneurial energy, otherwise we're all just fucking, bet the farm. It's great to balance it. And that's what we've really, we've come up with this model, and we're really having a great time helping these businesses and growing it.
I think that probably Simon and myself throughout the journey has been fucking lonely journey, and I'm pretty sure that most of you business owners here as well. Quite often, we are the first people in our office and last people to go home, and whatever issues we're facing, there's really nobody to talk to. If you're having a cash flow in your business, you can't really tell your staff, they'll fucking leave tomorrow. So whatever is facing, if you're having a great idea, you can't really test it with your family and friends because they might not be in a business to understand the risk you're taking or the challenges that you're having. And we started, with One Life Club, most important thing is we want to create a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, so business owners that have the same values, same vision, want to grow their business, want to grow themselves, but have people in their corner that are going through the same thing, that have so much there to contribute. So this is not a mentorship program. This is not you come here and we are your mentors. We have amazing business people, and everybody is everybody's mentor in our community, that everybody's contributing every single day. Any problem anybody's facing, they're asking other business owners for their opinion or what they don't know, other people are telling them. But most importantly, these Zoom sessions that we are having a month with different topics and different speakers that we bring on board are just people that can offer so much value. And this advisory board, so when you can imagine people at your table right now, and imagine if the people at your table are same level in business where you are, in completely different industries. Because a lot of times when you ask somebody that is in the same business like we are, they probably know similar things to us. But if you ask people that are in different industries, they will probably give you opinion as a maybe end user or something they experienced before that can just make your decisions much better. And this is not a sales pitch whatsoever. We are very critical how we get people to apply, and any person that applies, we personally interview them to make sure they are great humans, but people that want to grow. And what we don't want out of any members is what I am when I get committed to gym. I spent $1,500 up front thinking, fuck, now I have to go to gym every single day. And I am the most not committed person when it comes to going to gym, and I go there once and that's it. So people that we want on board is simply people that want to be surrounded with similar minds to them. And it is exciting project for us. We love learning, because so many different industries and whatever business you are in, or whatever level you want to get to, we have people that are at that level. We have members that have sold their companies. We have members that are scaling their business a lot faster than many other people did over 20 years. Whatever level you are in, we have members that have done it that can help you get to that level. It's a fun project for us, and I'm enjoying it. If you guys want to check it out, you can check onelifeclub.com. See what it's all about, so you guys have a better understanding, and obviously we are part of it on a daily basis. But more than anything, we want to say thank you for having us here today. We really we love when a group of like-minded people get together, and everybody here is moving towards the right direction, which means you're all here to learn. And same thing with us. We love and we are learning every day, and that's what life is all about. So on behalf of Simon and myself, it's been great being here today, and keep moving forward. Thank you, guys.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Thanks,
And they stay
thanks, Emil
there,
and Simon.
and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, keep them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it, my folks locked down. I never went nowhere, but they saying Luda's back. Blame it on that contour, the hood call it Luda-yak. And I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verses still be serving, tight like a million virgins. Last time on a college remix, now I'm on the original version. Can't never count me out, y'all better count me in. Got 20 bank accounts, accountants count me in. Make millions every year, the South champion.
Okay. All right, sponsors. Where are the sponsors in the room? Jamie? Okay. So what we're doing now, we're going to be looking at reviewing your app stack for your accounting firm. So I thought about it on how we're going to do this session, but there's no better way than having 14 sponsors. It's called an elevator pitch. So you can actually find out an elevator pitch is when you get in an elevator and by the time it hits the bottom, you know what they do, how they help you in your business. So we're actually going to throw it to the salespeople and the entrepreneurs from the app stacks here. So who have I got first? I've got Fewstein. Up you come, mate. No pressure. But you got to think about this from a sales point of view for your accounting firm. What's your pitch for meeting new clients at an event like something like this? So, okay, mate, so the two questions. So you got up to 30 seconds. So what do you do and how do you help accountants?
Perfect. Thanks, Ben. So my name's Kyan. I'm from Fewstein. I guess our elevator pitch is we're a Brisbane-based digital assigning platform. We really aim to digitally deliver documents securely, fast, and cost-effective to primarily accounting firms, but also across other industries as well. So it's, for us, the main things are security, simplicity, and yeah, cost-effective for us as well. And being integrated into the industry, we know it's very important to have integration partners like LightYear Docs, BGL, FYI, ATO Mate as well. So yeah.
Question here, who's got FYI Docs? Perfect. There we go. So if you've got BGL, it's an absolute no-brainer as well. But thanks, mate. There's our first one. It's always hard going first. I'm going to throw it over to Ned. Okay. So, Ned, so what do you do and how do you help accountants?
Thanks, Ben. My name is Ned from FYI Software. So we do document management and practice management specifically for accountants. Where we are unique, though, is our process automation engine. Think of it as your way to get a whole bunch of team of robots behind you doing some of the work for you. So it's really our unique selling proposition is that automation engine, and that's about efficiency and having an unlimited 1% engine, which I think Simon spoke about yesterday. Sweat the small stuff.
It's always interesting. FYI Docs for the last 5 Xerocons. I think you've been the most busiest. But who's here got FYI Docs? Oh, so you got a bit of work to do, mate, for sure. Okay. All right. Oh, you're going up? Oh, Helen's going up. Okay. Everyone should know Helen. She's been in the game for a long time. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Okay.
Hi, I'm Helen from Digital Rapport. So we are the new kids in the block, I guess. So we offer financial reporting via AI-driven video. Can I go longer than 30 seconds? All right. So basically, our current methods of reporting financials to our clients doesn't cut it. So your profit and loss, balance sheet, your SMSF trustees receive a digital package here that they don't look at. They sign, our clients don't understand. So we create videos via Xero and via BGL Simple Fund 360, which are engaging and they educate your clients, and it's all done with your own voice. So we record your voice and then it's Microsoft Neural Text-to-Speech. You type it in as commentary of the video, which can be a call to action for the client to come back in, which is bringing advisory work back to the firm. and it's all within a 2-minute video. So video, as we've been discussing a lot throughout this morning and today's conference, is a really powerful agile tool, and it's really well absorbed by pretty much everyone now, especially the millennials. All right, that's my...
That was a great one. And even, no afternoon tea. By the way, we're going to try and shorten today so we finish at 4 for you. As soon as I get you go out there, have a gelato, you'll take me 40 minutes to get you back in. So we'll fly through it today. But Simon Beard was talking about before on a tool like that you can connect with your clients. So that's a great new tool from a marketing point of view. Okay, we'll go to another startup. We'll go to Katie as well. We'll go startup. So it's basically Startup Alley. Off you go.
Awesome, guys. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate. I'm one of the co-founders of Brief. Brief is an advisory platform helping firms structure their advisory services, empower more team members, so some of your junior accountants to get involved with advisory to be able to scale that service. So we make it really easy to implement those advisory processes and operations and procedures, deliver that advisory service and engage your clients, and then really highlight the value that you add. Thank you.
Well done. Okay, we might as well go to who's going from Business Depot. Off you. Small business. Off you go.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Linda Steffens, accountant, introvert, and author, and also founder of the Small Business Project. So we actually bring the business advisory art to your science. So we're very much about helping you with those awkward pricing conversations and turning them into opportunities for genuine client engagement, connection, and of course, building those relationships. So most accountants I speak to talking about pricing and services is as awkward as when grandma tells a dirty joke at the dinner table. It's just really wrong and it gets all weird. And so that's where we can step in and help with our training to help you elevate those conversations into something that's easy, comfortable, and gets your message across, because you don't want the value of your services lost in the awkwardness of those conversations. So that's what we do.
So it's so good to watch all the different personality profiles of selling. Okay? Everyone should know Bruce. He's been in the game for, I don't know, how old are you, Bruce, now? 1,000? He's a dinosaur. Okay.
It's only 1,000 weeks. I've only got 4 left, all right? So giddy up. Here we go. Make no mistake. All right, for those of you who know me, I'm Bruce, Uncle Bruce to some of you. What do we do? What do we do? What does QuickFee do? Everything you've heard so far, we make it easier for you to sell it. Because with our money, clients will pay you, whether it's for the estate planning, whether it's all the document services, growth, business advice, strategy documents, all these things, they're all going to get paid for. And there's no better place for your clients' money than your wallet. We take their money, put it into your wallet, and let them pay us back over 12 months. If you want to know how it works, speak to the lovely Anna or the beautiful Bruce. Thank you.
Well done, Bruce. All right, we'll go from Bruce. We'll go Rod Peters. Up you get, mate. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's if everyone went to Thailand, there's a party in Rod's room. So we said it we said that at the last conference, and there ended up being 40 accountants in his room.
Hey guys, Rod Peters and Michelle McKenzie. We're with Eventum Optimum, which is part of the We Love group. So obviously have a lot to do with a lot of accountants and members in this room here. Essentially, we do 3 things. We help you utilise the LightYear documentation to grow your business, put more back in your pocket, as Bruce aptly put this there. Secondly, we help protect, so we do the securing of the PPSRs, mortgage registrations, etc., with the FPTs, and also we do a lot of work with the asset protection, so the business turnaround, pre-insolvency base. So if your client's got any directors' loans, ATO debt, DPNs, garnishee notices, etc., give us a call. We can help you guys navigate your clients through that. 9 times out of 10, we can save the client's home. 9 times out of 10, we can also save the client's business. So there's a lot of things we can do. We're very empathetic. Michelle's just started from my new recruit from zero. So welcome, Michelle.
Do I have much of a choice? But no, just an amazing conference so far. So I've learnt heaps already. But yeah, I'm excited to be part of the team and see where we can help you and your clients as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Benny.
All right, where we got? We might as well go over to Adam from SV Partners. But make sure you have a chat to Rod and T's session tomorrow. He actually helped us when we were setting up companies. I've been doing that for the last 15 years. Don't know why on every single company set up you don't do a security deed, but you'll go through that later. Off you go.
I'll keep it pretty short and sweet because I do a lot of work with Rod. So SV Partners, we're a national insolvency firm. I'm Adam Thorpe, and we do liquidations, bankruptcies, voluntary administrations, and small business restructures. If you want to get your lodgement rates up, we're happy to take out the ones that aren't lodging. So that's my sell right now.
Off you go. Okay, we'll get BGL. Off you go. Just trying to. Everyone's everywhere. I don't know where everyone is. Off you go, mate. Thanks, mate. So what are you doing? How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Luca from BGL. BGL's been in the accountancy software game for around 30 years now. We help accountants by streamlining their ASIC corporate compliance. So we prepare all of your ASIC documents and forms. We also specialise in SMSF, so all of your SMSF management. We have great integrations with LightYear Docs, so you can prepare and establish all of your trusts and companies and streamline and push them into the CAS 360 platform, and also set up your SMSFs through the LightYear Docs platform, and it pushes through into Simple Fund 360. We've also got a new platform called Simple Invest 360, which specialises in your investment trusts and your companies, and you can lodge those tax returns to the ATO. Thanks, Ben.
All good. Oh, just quickly, there you go. How many companies has BGL got now, Luca? How many companies on the platform? Million. There you go. Wow. And is that Australia or New Zealand? Both. Just Australia. Australia. Yeah. It was so funny when I went over to the dark side of LightYear Docs because I was at Now Infinity side. Ron was like, "Well, I'm not Ben Gill," but everyone's going over to BGL. It's great. We'll go to accountancy insurance. Got two more. Where's is Tully there? Are you Jenny after? Yep.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Tristan. I'm from Accountancy Insurance. I know a lot of your faces, which is awesome to see. So from Accountancy Insurance, this is our 20th year of operating now. So we have tailored insurance solutions specifically for accountants. So we only really work with accountants and their clients. So we have professional indemnity, if I said that word right, cyber insurance, and then tax audit insurance as well. So tax audit insurance is my area of speciality. So essentially the whole purpose is to reduce write-offs, more money in your bank account, protect your relationship with the client. So it's a win-win-win. But we also have a draw as well. So if you have any questions or if you want to actually go in the draw for a goodie bag for tomorrow, so come and see us in the alley. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Off you go. Who's got accountancy insurance? How many of them? Will be a bunch. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Happy days. All right. Jenny. I love you, Jenny. Up you get. Like peas and carrots. Come on.
Thanks, Forrest. Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm from Toa Global. Was absolutely delighted to know that unstoppable growth was the topic for today, because that's ultimately what we're about. We address the staffing shortage. We have a solution. We've been in the industry for 10 years. We focus only on accountants and bookkeepers. And we, from the start, really look to understand your business, the gaps, and how we can actually provide the skill set that you need from the Philippines, which is culturally aligned and a great time zone for you, to actually allow you to then think about adding revenue, adding new customers, and working in advisory. We've got systems, we've got processes, we've got incredible teams that look after the staff for you and work with you for it. And then we've got an RTO training organisation that makes sure that right from the second that you have a staff member come on board with us, that there's a career plan for them. So come and have a chat to us. We're in the purple, we're on the end, and we just want to help you with your growth. Thanks.
Just a quick question. Who outsources in here into offshore? There's quite a few. There's a big people problem. Okay, practice protect, last one. Oh, yeah,
Ben.
seamless. Sorry.
Hey guys, I'm the co-founder of Practice Protect. We've got 25,000 accounting users that use our platform. And what that gives us is a battleground to work with. So we iterate more rapidly than anyone else just because it is moving really fast, the world of online crime. And accountants and bookkeepers have moved more rapidly cloudward than any other professional services industry. And often the IT guy is no longer a big part of the business, and we're filling that gap for the industry. So we're out the front there, so look forward to chatting to you.
Okay. And the last one, we had our boot camp this morning. That was good. We actually had 50 people. So, oh yeah, sorry, an ATO, mate. So you got to go to the side. One more. Off you go.
Ben forgets everyone. Look, as an accounting firm owner, we made Seamless for accounting firms just like me. So we help onboard, verify, and engage your clients. So much like everyone, I'm sure if you're not using an onboarding tool like ours, you're probably using forms and paper and email and any other unsecure method. So if you want to change that up, come join us with Seamless, and you can also utilize us to re-engage and confirm clients' details. So collect documents, onboard, engage. It's the smartest, securest way to do it. And that's why we built Seamless for accounting firms. So come and talk to us if you want to know more.
Perfect. All right, now this is the last one, I promise. We've got Stan from ATO, mate. Yes, I am sure now. I'm positive.
I'll open. Is there any other sponsors who haven't spoken yet? Just checking on you, Ben. Okay, so ATO, mate. Couple of things I'll cover first of all, specifically talking to the accountants in the room. Over the last 2 years, more than 1,000 practices have decided to onboard our program. There's a reason for this. And it's really about everything that's been talked about on the stage. It's about growth. What we do is we give you back a truckload of time. How do we do that? Essentially, we integrate with the ATO to capture all of those pesky documents that the ATO creates for your clients. We capture them, we check them, we validate them against your practice management system. We integrate with FYI docs, for instance, to ensure that you have a complete file and record of everything that's happening. So this is a mammoth task. All accountants in the room, we can all count, right? So 10-seat firm, you will spend approximately 2,600 hours a year on this process. Say it again, 2,600 hours a year. If I could give you 90% of those hours back tomorrow, what in the hell would you do with it? Would you grow, play more golf, drink more red wine with Bouris? I'm not sure what it would be, but it's a pretty simple equation. If you want to get more time back into your practice, to spend more time on the important things, which is that quality communication with your client, come and see me.
Perfect. There we go. Okay, thanks, guys. Well done to the sponsors. Mick and Grant, are you ready to go, guys? Yep, you're ready to go. All right, guys, just remember we're going to try and finish at 4. We're going to go straight through that break, so then you can go chat to the sponsors that you need to. And then also another thing that we're doing tonight, we've got, if you're not in the part of the VIP, actually Grant's going to have people at the pub, so you can buy your own drinks, but Grant's going to have an area for you if you want to catch up. Drinks on Grant. But you ready to go?
Yeah, I think my mic's on. So, all right, everyone. My session is going to be a bit of a segue into grants. I'll just wait. Let me get forward till we. Yeah, some of the room may have already heard this. Others may not have, and people live as well. But how many people here? How many accounting firms here are SPEPA members? Quite a few. Yep, so that's a decent number. I'll reframe the question. How many people, and I want honest answers, how many people have their own estate plan in place, their own will succession plan? Not a lot. So on the 3rd of November last year, I was actually at TOA event at the Sheraton, so nothing to do with TOA. But I was there, and I went to my daughter's 16th birthday party, and I went home that night and went to bed as you normally do. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning, unbeknown to me, I passed away. I was dead for about 20 minutes. So I went into cardiac arrest from what they believe was caused by the COVID vaccine or COVID potentially. My wife, which fortunately for me, woke up and realised I'd stopped breathing or was agonal breathing at the time, and rolled me out of the bed, hit my head on the side of the bedside thing and split my head open. That was a secondary issue, but blood everywhere. When you die, you actually wet yourself as well. So I did that, which was not, it was obviously quite embarrassing, but it's part of the whole story. So she rolled me out of the bed, started doing CPR on me. Fortunately for me, and I'll use the language of Emil, I was kissed on the dick, and my wife works in cardiology. So she rolled me out of the bed, started CPR, and called the ambulance at the same time, obviously in a panic, and they arrived and shocked me 3 times. What's important about that is, so I died for about 20 minutes, resuscitated, got taken, I got wrapped up in black plastic, and my children woke up at the time and took me downstairs. Not my children had me downstairs. My children woke up at the time and saw me wrapped in black plastic. The reason I was wrapped in black plastic was because the ambulance crash cart couldn't get up the stairs. And so they wrapped me up, looked like I'd obviously passed away to my kids, took me downstairs and took me to the hospital. 3 days later, when I got moved to Gold Coast Private from Gold Coast Public, I had a second cardiac arrest. And that was the moment that I actually woke up and realised where I was. There'd been about 3 days where in hospital where I had family and friends, work colleagues come and visit me and speak to me, and I was apparently repeating myself. I didn't know what was going on. They were very concerned about the level of oxygen that I'd lost and whether that had caused damage. So I sort of lost 3 or 4 days there. And I woke up and I had about 10, 12 people around me in the second cardiac arrest, and I'd just been shocked, and she was surrounded by the hospital people, and it was quite a daunting thing. But the reason I'm leading into that is that we do a lot of work, obviously, in our group in relation to asset protection, estate planning. Rod was just mentioning it. We do a lot. Our team does a lot with the clients. I don't do so much myself anymore, so obviously work on those 3 principles I talked about before: strategy and amplification, marketing and people. But the thing is I was typical of a mechanic who didn't work on his own car, and I was, I like to call it, which I said on the webinar, self-harm. So I committed a bit of self-harm. I was looking after everyone else and doing everything else in my life and our business and stuff, and we didn't have in place what we've been selling and preaching to everyone. So I know Change GPS has a great Protect product in relation to delivering that for clients, and so it was the reason I've just asked everyone in the room is you really need to have a look at it and go and see what you need in place and what you should have in place. There's a lot of stuff we didn't have in place within our own business, and it's scared Rod and I. Like we get so busy doing things and you just don't concentrate on yourself. So we've spent a lot of time self-reflecting on that and putting into place those things. Grant's going to talk about some of the stuff now that we've been working on for myself, and I know Simon was just talking about advisory boards, the importance of that, where I'm doing that from a family advisory board. I'm actually part of their One Life Club, and it's the best thing I've ever done in terms of an advisory space and actually having people to talk to. But so it's really important that you actually worry about and concentrate on yourself first, because you can't grow your business or grow your team unless you get yourself right. So Grant, I'm going to welcome Grant to the stage, who's going to go through some asset protection strategies, estate planning strategies. Yeah. Oh, you want to lift it up?
Okay, let's start at the start. If you had passed away yesterday, what would have happened?
3rd of November.
Or 3rd of November. What would have happened? So let's start with the business, like
Yes.
LightYear Docs, because we've got a few. How many LightYear Docs shareholders do we have in here? Okay, so what
about
would happen to the
110.
business?
In total.
So what would happen?
What would happen?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Grant and yourself and Ben are directors, so we would have 2 directors still in place.
Yep.
We probably would have had some issues with bank accounts and stuff.
Yep.
The operation of those, payroll, paying bills.
Have we addressed that yet?
No. And on the list. A number.
I'm not
of the-
sure. I
a
might
num-
get you to write all these
A
things.
number
down
of
on the
the,
list.
I guess, with those 3 pillars, I look after relationships. I look after a large amount of relationships that aren't, we probably haven't documented very well in terms of if something happened, on what would happen with those relationships. So,
Naked accounting?
naked accounting, we didn't have anything in place. So given the fact that I hold all the licenses under naked, we would have had a bit of a problem because we wouldn't have effectively been able to operate. So I was just talking to Dave Sitter about this in the break. And, we're obviously, there's a large number of accounting firms here, and it's really important to think about that. If something does happen to the principal, who do you have in line to come in?
Exactly. So you've probably got a whole lot of stuff outside. Individually, what sort of assets do you have? You don't have to give the names, but obviously you've got a couple of nice cars.
Yeah.
Well, you can't because you've got a 6-month sabbatical on cars.
I was just,
Tell everyone
talking
that.
about my car is over at Peppers. I've got a number plate that's worth about $150,000. So actually, the number plate's winning. We were talking about the value of different assets and stuff. So there's probably liabilities aside and stuff with assets, probably about 10 million in there.
Yeah. So you've got a couple of cars, you've got a house.
A few houses, investment properties.
Huge liabilities on those, or?
There is on some, yeah.
Yeah. So if Leanne wanted the house by herself, she'd have to be selling something. Would that be right? Or
Yeah, but though I've got insurance policies, so there's life insurance, and I've also got a large trauma payout when this happened. So that was one benefit of me dying for 20 minutes, is I did have trauma insurance in place. So
do you have any buy-sells?
No.
Should you have any buy-sells?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Does everyone know what a buy-sell is, or buy-sell arrangement? So it's just a partnership. So we're starting to go a deep dive. This is not uncommon. Would you agree with that one? In fact, I would say most of you are set up exactly like that. And we're going to get in a little bit deeper into it. But the issue for us is the thing that I learned today, 3 things. First one is that there's at least a $7 trillion handover. What did Andrew say? It was $5 trillion in the next 10 years. So if your client's money is going to go somewhere, because in the next 10 years, a lot of your clients are 65 or 70 or whatever, they're going to be 70, 75, and a lot of them will pass away. So that means there's a loss in your business. As like if you're a planner, it's a worry, but it's an opportunity there for all of you. And then the other one is that there's a problem there and there's no solution. So you can send them to an estate planning lawyer, but they do what I call destructive estate planning, because they'll just hive everything off into the estate. And what's the danger about that one? So what should I be asking? What should I be asking Michael next? Have you got any ex-spouses or children that might pop up that we don't know about from?
Oh, I did.
I'm only joking, but that's an important one.
I'm disclosing a lot of stuff, but I think we'll just keep that one under the sheets.
So with that one, up here in Queensland, 50% of all estates are now contested, and the rate of success, and this the only study that's ever been done, rate of success was 76% in Queensland, 86% in New South Wales, mainly because you've got notional estate. You may not be aware, because I always thought, and just the thing is the area that we're working in is always evolving. I always thought that because you've got joint ownership, haven't you? Yeah. I always thought with joint ownership, you were safe. but it's not. A family provision claim overrides joint ownership. There's been a couple of cases there. There's one interesting Cowart and Cowart that mum had been in there for 57 years, stepson. Dad had died, so mum obviously took all the assets. Stepson made a family provision claim. Mum, who'd been in the house for 57 years, had to sell it, and then $700,000 of the estate went to the stepson. So again, a lot of our clients are sitting on gold mine. Well, I shouldn't say gold mines, land mines, but also gold mines because we don't know about it. So with your stuff, obviously, so if you had, now we've got a second option on that.
Yep.
So if it happened to you again, would Leanne have the capacity to be executor, or would someone like Rod or someone else be the better position?
Someone would be a better party.
Okay, so let's start writing down a line of succession. So who would that be?
I hope she's not listening to this.
Yeah, oh, no, it's okay. She'll still be looked after. So who would that be? Probably who's the best person to be the executor?
Probably Rod. Just
Okay.
Rod.
Yeah, so we'll put Rod down. So that's fine. So we're going to put a Rod in there. How many trusts do you have?
What, personal or?
Yeah, personal or?
3.
3, okay. So what's it? It doesn't matter. I'll just go through each one because they're all going to be the same. So I've got 3, I think, as well. So the typical discretionary trusts that we have, which is generally all the companies, most of you are probably pretty well aware they're set up for tax purposes. So you've got buckets underneath, a bucket company, and the shares are owned by the discretionary trust, the bucket company.
Yep.
Cool.
One of them is a leading member trust.
Yep, perfect. Yeah. So with the leading member, what do you understand is the difference between that and discretionary trust?
You have effectively, in my case, a bloodline appointer.
Yep.
Who controls?
Is that Leanne?
No, it's me.
Okay. Yep. And then who's underneath you?
Leanne.
Yep.
Then Jaden.
Yep.
Not Jessica's not there. Yeah,
She's not
16.
there yet. Okay. So a couple of things there. Tell us a bit about Jaden and Jessica.
Jaden's 18. Jessica's 16. Jessica's got a boyfriend. She's 16. She's got a boyfriend she's had for 2.5 years.
Yep.
Which is somewhat of a concern, I guess.
Yeah.
From the father's perspective, he's a lovely boy, but yeah. So
it's funny. I was actually having a chat with Andrew Inwood about what we do here. He said he just gave $1 million to each of his children. That's nice. I think that's fantastic. What's the problem? What's the problem giving money to your kids? It's exposed. So the better thing to do is put the money in the discretionary trust and then lend it out to the kids. So you can always have a nil interest loan and also secure over any of the property, but why would you ever give money to children? Classic story, some of you heard me say this, is my daughter's friend was given can you believe this, by their grandmother, a $2 million property. And then that was down in Brighton, obviously Melbourne. And then 6 months later, her boyfriend of 4 years had left her. So she was heartbroken from that, then took litigation against her. The house had to be sold and $900,000 was paid out. And it gets better because now he's showing on Instagram to all his friends, all the girls he's dating overseas. So the grandmother ended up funding that whole thing. But if it was all lent out. So the first port of call is, if it's Michael, for these guys, you should always lend money out of the trust. And likewise too, if you need capital, you don't ever take a capital distribution. What's the point of that? Because anything in your name is going to be exposed. Would you all agree with that one? So tomorrow we're going to look at like founders' monies, because you've obviously started up a lot of these companies, but I know you do. What's your classic strategy for starting up? So if I come to you, I say, I want to start up, I'm really keen. What's your classic strategy around that?
It differs depending on what we're actually looking at and what sort of business it is and the parties involved. And typical, a lot of startups get money from family and friends.
Yep.
But they often don't put in place the right documentation or asset protection in relation to security agreements and stuff to protect their position. As accountants, how many times do you come in and you got friends come in and they go, we're going to business together, and you go, look, I think we should put some agreements in place, and they go, oh, no, it's okay, we're all friends.
Exactly.
Heard that before? You are now. Yeah, and then everything blows up. So
and look, all the strategies we're talking about, this is all available in LightYear Docs. So we're not, you know what I mean? That's the benefit is the innovation we've done at LightYear Docs. It's not about the automation because, you've got ClearDocs, you've got now Infinity. There's a lot of people automating. What the innovation is the pointy end of the strategies and the documentation that's coming down the track. And there's a whole lot of other ones. So, for example, let's go back to the leading member discretionary trust. We've got the line of succession. So how deep do we need to go? For example, if Leanne and Michael passed away yesterday, what happens? It's okay because we'll talk about it, because what you do is you put in a board of guardians. So that's going to be a new addition to, we're going through revamping all our trust suite to make it a lot stronger in the appointor area. So if you've got any comments around what you want to see in the trust suite, but we're actually going to add a family guardian board as an option. And with the family guardian board, it would mean,
Okay,
sorry about that.
Whoa.
Hopefully got insurance for tomorrow if he gets on there.
Your brother almost fell off the stage before.
I know, I saw that. Here, so we've got a family guardian board. Does everyone understand what that is? So you could have an accountant, a lawyer, a SPEPA advisor, a financial planner, and they're going to step in and manage that process there. But if we have a look at it for Jessica and Jaden, what age do you think Jaden would be right to sort of take control of that trust?
He probably thinks he's right now.
Yeah, because he's 18, because he does.
See Rod bluffing, he knows what he's like.
I wonder where he got that from.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same with Rod, obviously with Lily. I mean, we're going through exactly the same issue. And really, it's much the same for all of our clients and ourselves as well. So I'm not looking at anything out of the ordinary. It's just asking like what the main thing is. So with Jaden and Jessica, what age do you think? Do you think
25,
one is we don't want to have capital distributions.
Yeah.
We always want to make sure there's
I would have thought at least 25. Well, I think about back when I was younger, and I thought from 18 to probably 23, I knew everything about, and I think they're still at that. And I was king of the world. It was almost like what Mark Bouris said when he was on stage, and he said, "I'm taking over the accounting firm." And then,
Now here's the thing. Actually, there was a fantastic story, wasn't it? Because my old man, he came out with about $400,000 after hundreds of years working for commercial CGU, and he used to get these stockbroker tips. And my dad had Poseidon shares and sold them go up to $298 and ended up selling them for $3 because his accountant said he'd be up for tax, which was bullshit.
Yeah.
But he ended up buying computer shares for $13,000 and his total return on them was $1.4 million.
Wow.
And that was just one of those fluke stocks. So if that was the case, your poor old Bouris is probably still spitting chips.
It's interesting too, what you're saying about Jaden and what he was. I actually took him down to see Stephen Bartlett. I don't know if anyone knows about Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, and we did a meet and greet down in Melbourne. That was the only place we'd get tickets. And we went backstage, met Stephen, and he actually talked about Jaden on stage, which was quite good. He asked him, he said, "How old are you? What are you doing?" Jaden said, "I'm doing a Bachelor of Business with honours at Griffith Uni at the moment." He goes, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I'm going to take over the accounting firm straight away." And Stephen said, "Look, I'd advise you against doing that." He goes, "What you should need to do," he goes, "you're at the perfect age right now in terms of AI." He said, "You need to go out and get involved in AI startups." Because talking about what we were talking with the panel earlier, he goes, a lot of them are going to fail. And he goes, you're going to learn so much from them failing to be able to utilise later in your business life and stuff. So it's quite a good lesson for him to learn to actually.
Absolutely. So can you see the shift in what we're talking about? Because Suddenly we're talking about personal things to Michael, and so we're getting stories out of him. And what's it good about stories? Yeah, connect. It's a rapport. And second one, it's getting emotional. And what did someone pick up before? People buy on emotion. Does everyone follow that one? Because our job here is to protect his family for generations to come and the bloodline. So we've got the bloodline there. So I need to work in, well, what's going to happen there? So obviously we're going to have Rod, but you might have like another couple. So you put a board of guardians in there. They'll get paid for, you know, for the amount of time they come in. Obviously, when the kids are younger, they're going to need to meet a lot quicker. I had a friend of mine, could you believe this, over in South Australia. He's pretty big in self-managed. He's got about 100 of them. So the guys in Seamless and all that need to listen to this, because he's got 100 in SMSFs, and he said he's a financial planner. So he's on a funds under management basis. That's how he gets his fees. And he said, I can't believe it. I'm losing all this business because my clients are dying. And I said, oh, really? I said, why wouldn't you have taken the money and put it into a family protection trust with an investment clause that you'll then secured for the, 2010, 2030? Because SMSFs have got a finite life. Does everyone understand that? Whereas how long's a family protection trust going? Sorry? No, we're going to make... Yeah, remember, because we're doing them in South Australia, so it goes to perpetual. That's why we want to get that long term. Does everyone follow that one? So that's the first thing financial planners should look at. I'm probably not going to have time to go through it, but one of the products I'm working on is for the $3 million product. The first thing is, with the $3 million, if you're going to hit it, unless the Greens hit it at $2 million, we should be putting the money into a family protection trust. Does everyone follow that one? Because it's going to save you on estate planning, because you pull it out now, it's tax-free, but I think I can use some financial instruments to leave it in the SMSF and then still transfer the wealth and all the growth over into the family protection trust. Because again, they do that for investment banking, so why can't we do it at the super fund level? So we're working on that with Naked, etc. Okay, so we've got a list down there, going to be 25, all of that sort of stuff. And then after that, they can take over. But the problem about that is if we're going to leave it, what needs to happen is that trust needs to split. So one of the things that many of us don't know about is that at any point in time, we can split trusts. In fact, you can have two trustees, so you split them into sub-trusts. You can have two trustees over each sub-trust. So that's good for blended families, but it's also good for second generation, because if you think about it, with Michael and also Leanne, if they both passed away, that wealth stays in there. And so what we've got is an event, because if that was an event in the self-managed super fund, something's got to happen to that wealth. So it's going to be taxed at some point in time. Everyone agree with that one? If it's outside, we can roll up the tax, unless the executor pays. And honestly, it's quite often it's better for the executor to pay, because otherwise the beneficiary has to pick up the tax liability. And most estates don't take that into account. So by doing it in a trust, what happens there? If someone dies, if the appointor or the trustee dies, what happens? Is that a tax realisation event in the trust? No, not at all. And so what we've got there is a perfect estate plan that can carry on down the future. Again, and this is perfect for farmers. And you know me, I love SMSFs, love them to death. And there's a lot of farms sitting in self-managed super funds which cannot be preserved. Something's going to have to happen to them. And if people don't get over the top of them, it's going to start when the $3 million cap comes down, because they're asset rich, but they're income poor. So it's going to, again, there's going to be a lot of strategies around family protection trusts. So when we build that trust, it's got splitting, it's got board of guardians, and then this is going to be for his business. So what's one you've got in there, sort of, have you got like just a share vehicle?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's Well, the leading member trust holds all the investments and shares.
Okay, there's not much legal liability in there.
No.
Okay, so there's good trust and there's bad trust. So a good trust is if there's just a lot of investments, unless potentially there's a shareholders agreement in there, which could have issues. But then if you've got any trusts, they've got lots of property and stuff.
Yeah, there are some trusts with property and liability, obviously mortgages and stuff in them.
Okay, so that's okay. That's just a bad trust, that's all. So we use the leading member discretionary trust there. But if you notice the structure is not going to change any trust. So when you think about it, you've got this trust. When I build a will, you should never have, if you see like the primary, tertiary, secondary, tertiary, why bother with that? Because there's no protection there. I mean, if you give money to someone, they're exposed. Will you agree with that one? So what I always do is when the money is paid out from the estate, it goes into a testamentary trust if mum's alive, and then it'll split to the kids before. So we end up with the same thing, but it's a testamentary trust, which is a trust from a will. SMSFs, exactly the same thing. You don't pay to the estate. Why don't I pay to the estate? You should never pay super to the estate because it may get challenged. Does that follow? So again, I can build a death benefits trust straight under my self-managed super fund. CBAS actually allows you to build one as well. So you've got this, you've got this ability, whether it's retail or industry or SMSFs, to build these trusts. Now, what we've just come out, and we're building this for you again at LightYear Docs, is what we call a waterfall will. So that, let's say there's no challenges to the estates or whatever. If you can, why would you have all these different trusts if we can actually consolidate them all into our one trust? And what I like to do when I talk with clients, I talk about this one being your Buckingham Palace. Because if it's in one vehicle, I can put the biggest moat and castle around it. I can make sure it's virtually impregnable. But when I've got a number of ones there, because you only need one little angle for the lawyers to get in. For example, if you went to that, which I think is crazy, but if you went to that SEPEPA session we did with John Gowing, the estoppel case, it went up. It was a farm. One kid had worked on the farm for 40 years, and he was going to get the majority. Mum was going to give him the majority of the money. But what happened is Dad had promised both the kids 50-50 30 years ago, and that overrode any family provisions claims or any wills. Another one that we worked on, in fact, I worked on with Rod, again, Dad said, your business, this business is, and this is again, listen to this business is yours at age 65. Didn't get on well with the son. And so then effectively, and this was actually stuff sitting in a trust, didn't get on well with the son. Son sued. Son ended up with the business, and Dad ended up with a $7 million legal bill from that. If you have a look at that, was it Bruce Lehman? The legal costs on that are going to be up around about 10 million bucks. Yeah, easy. So it's easy when you get QCs. So what I would do for Mick, which is not going to be much different than I do for everyone, so I would do a will. Now it's going to be completely different. I would do a will with a testamentary trust. So it first goes to Leanne and then it goes to the kids after that. So you just need to set up one trust. We're looking at building that into LightYear Docs as well. But if there was exposure for Mick, then what we need to do is the protector. So he's obviously got, have you got like a clean trust or because you've probably got so many trusts anyway, I'd say the ones with the shares may be clean.
Yep.
So we'd actually turn that into like a family protection trust. Now, the key for all of you is we can upgrade all these trusts. You can change jurisdiction, you can change beneficiaries, trustee, appointors, all of that. And there's ATO rulings and full federal court decisions that is not, that's not a resettlement. But again, if you don't want to do that, pass it on to Abbott Morley and we'll do that for you. It's not going to cost you that much, but then we bear the liability, which is probably the problem about a lot of the deed upgrades is you actually have to go into the deed and find the relevant clause, make sure it's right and you're doing it the right process. So again, have a chat with Anushka. So that's what we do there. With the protector, I suppose you probably do need the protector, don't you?
No, definitely need.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so everyone in this room is going to need a protector. So the protector is the gift loan back. If you haven't seen, we did quite a big training session at LightYear Docs a couple of weeks ago around the cases for the gift loan back, and there's substantial legal authority for it. But what we've done, we've got gift loan back, and then we've got an option agreement. So the option agreement, that any growth in the underlying event actually ends up in the Family Protection Trust as well. So again, there. We're going to be going through a lot of these strategies tomorrow with Rod. So I've got a case study, because then this is the basic one, and I shouldn't say you're basic. You're actually quite
I'm
complex.
very basic.
Yeah, but because I do this day in, day out, it's not too bad. It's when you then have kids with autism or ADHD, or wives with ADHD and autism, which I've lucked upon, which is nice. But when we have a look at those sort of things, then the whole estate planning completely changes. Because one of the things I always find, if you had a look where you want clients, because the first thing I always look at market, who's got my clients, and then you partner up with them. If you partnered up with anyone in NDIS, the biggest problem that anyone with a child in NDIS system, whether it's an adult or whatever, is who is going to look after them when I pass away. And that's a burden they carry for all of their life. But, I've worked with a whole lot. In fact, we seem to be working, at least 2 or 3 cases a week around that. And again, you just use special disability trusts. Again, that board of guardians is really important. So, if you have a look at it, obviously we've got a bit of work to do for you. Successor director, what do you say to everyone now in terms of successor director?
Well, we set them up as part of the setup process. It's an important thing to go through each company though as well, because each company is different for each successor director. Like we were talking about Leanne before, obviously not for an accounting business.
Not for Naked.
Yeah, and you maybe not for one of our investment trusts. So you've got to actually think of which party should be your successor director. We just went through with a large client who owns a first and second mortgage book, and we were looking at, you were helping with that. We were talking to him about, and him getting the right people who actually understand how to run a first mortgage book to come in as your successor directors. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's, Craig West always says there's a million. It's going to get quite scary, because there's a million baby boomers who are going to be selling their business or trying to exit their business over the next 10 or so years. You don't know how many are going to be impacted by, you have a look, how many people, particularly with Rod, we'll talk about it tomorrow, how many people are going bankrupt or foreclosing at the moment?
Yeah, well, Thorpe is out of the room, but it's significant, isn't it?
$55 million worth of ATO debt.
Yeah.
3 of that's in small business.
Yep.
The bank insolvency record levels, 2012 was the highest level. We're 36% up year on year from those numbers. So we're getting 1 or 2 new clients a day at the moment. With DPNs, ATO action probably.
It's all industries too, isn't it? It's not.
Franchises, construction, retail. It's
Counting firms.
even accounting firms. Financial planning firms. It's tough out there.
Yeah, it's not only that. If you listen, there was that headline, what's that? Gift and loan backs don't work, and it was done by, I forget who actually did the article. It was all about Dan Grubis or whatever name was, Grubel. DGI. And the case wasn't anything to do with that. It was actually a false and misleading claim, because the way they'd set it up was it just didn't make sense. But she was saying that you're instantly covered and all that. There was no coverage at all. It was just crazy. So again, but what happened there is that once the ACCC came in, it just closed them down. That's it. And how many planners in this room? Yeah. What happens if you lose your license? That's it. You're gone, isn't it? You don't. What's your right of appeal? Oh, you get a right of appeal, but it takes 3 or 4 years, and by that time your business is gone. And they're only going to get a lot more aggressive. And I think we have to understand that. It's the same with the accounting. I mean, if we took you out, because the big issue I hear all the time from accountants is we can't get staff. Now, is that going to improve or not? No, it's not going to improve. So you just got to bite the bullet. So that's not going to improve. We don't have time to do anything. So if we took it out, if I was trying to sell you an accounting business, you know, are the returns going to increase from it or decrease just from the compliance side over the next 10 years? It depends on what we do, doesn't it? I mean, you're a businessman. What do you think?
I think there's pressure on compliance. I think AI is going to make a lot of changes. It's going to be interesting once the ATO starts overlaying AI over their data. They've got a significant amount of data. The systems are talking now, and there's going to be a lot of self-auditing going on.
It's going to be scary, isn't it? So
it is going to be very scary.
So what happens? Let's say they got a brilliant AI program. Let's say, okay, Michael, we've got 40 audits you have to do over your clients. And you've got to, do they go direct to the client or are they going to come to you?
Well, I think they're direct to you, but the audit will have already been done by the AI itself. So I don't think there'll be any ticking and flicking. It's
perfect
they'll
audit
know,
insurance, isn't it, for the clients?
They'll know the result.
Yeah, I know they'll know straight away. And it's getting to that stage as well. But going down the accounting business, I think the other one that Simon said is, or it might have been Emil, is that you're a trusted profession, but you need to leverage off that to do this sort of stuff. Would you all agree with that one? So for those of you who haven't done like the SEPEPA course, we've got another one coming up in August. We're also doing a Board of Guardians course on the back end of that. So there's a 2-day Board of Guardians course for that to specialise if you want to specialise in that. So I think that if you haven't got down this track, it's absolutely crucial because, I mean, you just have a look at what Michael's like. I'd love to have a look at every one of your circumstances to see how you're set up. And believe it or not, most of the time it's going to end up exactly the same. A couple other ones that we'll look at tomorrow is having a separate IP company, again, because that's the crown jewels. Your trading company, what should be in your trading company? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm working on an interesting one at the moment. I need to have a chat with Rod about this. Like if I have a book of clients, I'm a doctor, and I transfer it over to, the question is, and I'll take you through. So the background here is we've got a doctor and obviously does pretty well, but he's signed up for $170,000 a year child support. And if you know child support, it's all post-tax. So the question is, how can we get it pre-tax? The ATO issued a ruling in 1998 and basically says you've got to put property into a child maintenance trust. So you can put any property. It actually talks about IP, it talks about business. You can put, for example, a truck there and lease it back. Now, putting a truck there and leasing it back, that's pretty easy because I know what the value of the truck is and also know what the lease is. And it's going to match the period of time I've got child support. And that can have a huge amount because in one business, I'm transferring income over into the child maintenance trust. And the child maintenance trust, when the money comes out, the children are taxed as if they're adults. So you can imagine what the tax swing around is like. Now, the question is, like, if I'm a doctor and I transfer a book of patients over, what's the value in that? And then what would be the licensing fee to get those patients back? Because there's only one little snag in the CMTs, is you've got to make sure it's not, there's not a non-arm's length issue there. So when we talk about arm's length pricing, so I wouldn't mind going through that. So there's a lot of these new opportunities that are opening up for us. And again, I'd say with LightYear Docs, we're pretty well ahead with that innovation in terms of the documentation. I mean, we've got a few shareholders here and stuff like that. I mean, where do you see LightYear Docs over the next 3 or 4 years?
Where it goes and stuff. I mean, we've still got significant opportunity in the Australian market. We're going to NZ, and there's opportunity in any common law country. So we go to potentially go to UK. But, you know, we've got a lot still to bed down in Australia before we start opening those markets up.
I know. And you can see with a lot of the online document platforms are actually, you know, reducing the amount of documents that are actually on the platform. So we're going through a process, as I said now, that Michael's instituting, that we'd love to have some users on the board, but we've got an independent legal firm is actually going in through our documents now, and they're first starting on the trust, and then they'll go to companies, etc. So again, it's a good time if you want to give feedback into the team or the legal team to say, well, this is what we need. I did a document just before for virgin equity or, you know, silent equity for staff if you want. So again, if you've got documents you need to be done, we can do them fairly quickly. I think that's about it.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So you got an early mark today. How good's that? A couple of things on that one. I'll probably be down the pub around about 5:30. So I'll put $500 on the bar, courtesy of Abbott Morley. If you're going to have
I'm
drinks
coming to the pub first. Then.
Exactly. I know I should have said that one. And then I'll probably leave around about 7:30 because I'm going to catch the budget. What I'm doing is for tomorrow morning, I'm doing some budget press releases for Michael. But what I'll do is we'll give them all to you as well. For those of you who've got email systems that you can send them out to your clients. So that's part of the practice.
Just a couple more things. Just quickly here, I think we've only had 5. So the marketing team are outside. So the We Love marketing team, make sure you rip that page out, put your details in now and drop it off, because that's the whole part of what you heard today about Simon. You saw a lot today of the Growth Con was about marketing, AI, automation, all the things you're not doing with your clients. Even the tip on doing live streaming tonight for the budget, giving live updates for your clients. It's all about distribution. Like if your team are not liking sharing that to their community, that doesn't really help with team buy-in. So make sure you fill that in now for us. Drop it off at the marketing booth. We've got the gelatos out there. You saw all the tech stacks. So go have a chat with them. They're the guys that are going to free up your capacity so you can implement all the strategies. But guys, this was a great first, what's that? 8:30 tomorrow. Early mark today because everyone's getting a little bit tired now. But thank you so much for the first day. Great day, guys.
Thank you.